clown world, that's what it is. It's a mad clown world. Shit, clown wars! Uh-oh, I should have said that. It's time once again. Man your posts, men! Man your posts. Captain's Cast begins. Ahoy! Welcome to the Captain's Cast. I am your host, Captain Garrett, on a Sunday, and boy, have we got... I dropped a naughty word in the first 30 seconds. I shouldn't have done that. The captain needs a swear jar. We have got to talk about Nurse What, a.k.a. Doctor Who. As a non-Whovian, I have thoughts about this. Somehow, a great evil has returned from Mordor. Rings of power. Rings of... Oh, jeez. Did I say it that way? Rings of Power is back. I've never seen such a stunning display of like low IQ, just fan fiction level writing that thinks it's genius at work. It just thinks it's genius. So we've got news on Rings of Power. We have a Grizzy video on Rings of Power. You're gonna love this. I'm gonna love this. I haven't seen it yet. And we have lots of things. You know, I finished Invincible. I watched Invincible Season 2. And I'm going to talk about it at some point. I'm certain of that. Mr. Producer. Yes, that's enough with the music. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Producer. And what else do we have on tap? Prism. Prism has released the next installment of the What If Obi-Wan Was Awesome fan series, and I thought we might check that out. So I'm super into this. But then also, in addition to Doctor Who, we have Ubisoft, yet another game company that has been infected with the woke mind virus. What is wokeness? Why, wokeness is intersectional feminism and bizarre racial theory used to re-engineer all culture, and it employs the tactics of fascism, which are censorship, intimidation, and total consolidation of power behind one school of thought. And that is what wokeness is, because I keep hearing people say, no one can define wokeness. No one can define it. Well, I just defined it for you. I think the reason people struggle to define it is because it is many things. But yes, the controlled demolition of the Japanese historical record has begun. And folks, you are not going to believe this arrogant, snotty little woke article that I found of them defending this. Wait until you hear just the smug. Oh, the smug. It reeks of it. You're going to love this. So I have a lot of thoughts. And my thoughts may not be quite as obvious as you think on the issue of Yasuke. That's right. The name of the historical figure that isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how the wokies suddenly it's historical. There's a historical record. He was a real person. Also, Cleopatra is black. What? Oh, now we can. Isaac Newton is Indian, Southeastern. It's Eastern Asian. Now we care about historical records? Isn't it funny? The wokeness is an ideology of pure momentary convenience. It has no memory going beyond the last 3 seconds. That's all it has. So yeah, we'll talk about that and my thoughts on it. I'm kind of two minds on the Yasuke issue. We also have announcement, hat tip to Redoubt Productions, who is in the chat, and said on the Discord, which is linked in the description if you want to join us on the rowdy Swords and Starships Discord, where we have polite discussions over tea. He mentioned Shogun Season 2 is coming. What? I'm confused. This is like hearing that Chernobyl Season 2 is arriving. Or Titanic 2. Don't put it past James Cameron. Titanic 2. That you could milk that, you know? I thought this was a limited series. We told the story. It's over. It was one novel. Is this like a Frank Herbert, like multiple series thing going on? Was there a multiple? There might be. I don't know. I don't know. The original novel might have. Well, anyway, we'll talk about it. Well, I have thoughts about this as well. So we're just gonna get into it. Who do we have in the chat? Who is requesting permission to come aboard? Redoubt Productions. Permission to come aboard granted, sir. Says, no, nurse what? Nurse what? Oh, nurse WTF. Nurse What-the-Frack is what I would say, because the thing that they portrayed on screen in this recent episode. Folks, can I just let you in on something? As someone who has been at gay bars and enjoyed myself, I do not like drag queens. I don't. Now, it's fine if you want to do that. Go do that for adults and have fun and enjoy it, because I know a lot of people, straight and gay, that love drag queens. I do not. I find it weird. I find it odd. It's off-putting to me. I always have. But the weird thing is, anything else in society, it's fine for me to say I'm not into that. It's fine for me to say I'm not into, going to Walt Disney World, or I'm not much of a roller coaster guy. But if I say that I don't like drag queen performances, somehow I'm a bigot. I just find it off-putting in any situation. But this situation in Doctor Who, dear God, folks, dear God. But I will say this. I find it fascinating that Russell T Davies, the showrunner and auteur writer of the Doctor Who series, who has decided to run it straight into the ground. Boy, is that a self-destruct, or is that a self-destruct, folks? That is legendary. George R. Martin needs to have a discussion with Russell T. They need to get together, those two, and just discuss existential crises in writing. Anyway, I find it fascinating that we cannot have a what's the name what's the name of the villain? Because I'm not a Whovian. I'm outsider looking in here. But what's the name of the big bad that was in the wheelchair? He was on the life support system. It's just, the name escapes me. And totally now we can't have a it's not even a wheelchair bound villain. Davros. Okay, thank you, Staff Yare. Staff Yare has helped me out here. Davros, right? So he's the villain that's in the sort of, it's like almost like Madam Web, how she's in the life support system. It's the same rough situation. He's in a kind of life support system that I guess Russell T Davies thinks is coded wheelchair disabled. We can't have that, because that would portray disabled people in a negative light. So explain this to me, chat. Then how is it that we can have, what's her name? Madam Jinx or something or other? The Maestro. How can we have this creepy drag queen playing an evil character? I thought drag queens were good. Is Russell T Davies, is he coding drag queens as malevolent villains in storytelling? This is very problematic for me. Anyway, I'm just asking questions, folks. I'm just asking questions. Fu Man Blue says, oh yes, my friends, it's what time? It's hammering time, says Staff Yare. Yes, Fu Man Blue and Staff Yare, permission to come aboard granted. Star Fury says, wigs everywhere, but never one that fits. Oh, you know what, Star Fury? I put a comment. Listen, I had to really think about it. It's like, I gotta put a really good comment on this Rings of Power trailer. Let me just grab that real quick. Let's just we're gonna swerve right into Rings of Power. But let's just take a quick look at this ratio, because you're just gonna love this. Let me share my screen. Here it is. It's already running. Ancient and powerful evil. Oh, oh no. That's the wrong. Sorry, wrong screen. Stop screen, present, share screen. Well, you got to see the captain's sexy back end, as Jeremy would say. Here we go. Yes, yes. Add to stage. Yes, okay, good. Look at this. Look at this ratio, folks. Oh no! Oh no! What happened? What happened? What? You know what? You know what's so fascinating is I love how these streamers, right? The entire audience hates what you're doing. We hate your guts. Like we hate everything about what you've done. But it never dissuades them. They just soldier on. They just soldier right ahead. Screw you, they say. You know. Anyway, so the captain put his own comment on here. This is the captain's comment, and I put it in proper screenplay format. Gandalf, hold out your hand, Frodo. Retrieves the blonde wig from the mannequin with tongs. He offers it to Frodo. Gandalf continued. I assure you, it's quite cool. There you go. That's my own meager, sad effort at commenting. So anyway, I thought that was clever. I did. But they were all of them deceived, for another wig was made. These are so awesome. I feel sort of thin, stretched like a wig forced on too big a head. Fantastic. Anyhow, so yes, we have lots to talk about with Rangs of Power. Fu Man Blue says, congratulations for your first demonetization in under 10 seconds. Yeah, basically. I don't ever monetize these live streams because I do trailers and stuff. Stormcrow is in the chat. Do you know how lonely I was without you this Friday? Oh, Stormcrow. It's early for the guilt trip. No, I know. We did not do Fallout Dead Man's Cache this Friday because I just am swamped with stuff, but you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say. So let's see if we can get something going this Friday. What do you say, Crow? Honestly, you leaving me alone with no game angers me more than Rings of Power. Stormcrow is... You do not wish to upset Stormcrow. He's very... He's very... passionate. Anthony Timmons is here. Ahoy, Anthony. Permission to come aboard? Granted, sir. Oh, never required, but always granted here on the Swords and Starships channel. What? You know what? You know what's really funny? I was watching. So Chris Gore has returned to fighting form. He's in tip-top shape, he is, after his mild bout with strokeism. And he recommended as like science fiction film aficionado homework to watch the film Battle Beyond the Stars from 1984. And I thought, you know, this must be some kind of classic from the 80s that I missed completely. And so I'm like, okay, James Horner composed the soundtrack, which is reputed to be extraordinary. And so I fired it up. I found it on Tubi or some such. And so I'm watching Battle Beyond the Stars, and I'm like, what? Oh my God, this thing. You know, yes, the James Horner soundtrack, or no, it wasn't James Horner. I'm sorry. It's Jerry Goldsmith of Star Trek film composition fame. Oh, I almost lost my Star Trek nerd card right there. Oh, that was a close one. Jerry Goldsmith's brilliant score is great. But the film is like, no. You know, but the thing that occurred to me though, see, I had a profound thought, a profound thought occurred to me as I'm watching Battle Beyond the Stars. I mean, it's cheesy. The color palette in the film is very bland. It's very drab. It's very... I find it to be, even for its time, very generic sci-fi. Like, it's almost like a rehash of like the original Battlestar Galactica or Buck Rogers or something like that. And it's definitely meant to cash in on Star Wars because this is right in the era of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, right? So it's like an off-brand Star Wars, but it's not uncommon for its time. There were lots of, Star Trek, the motion picture had been out there, Battlestar Galactica, etc. What I found fascinating was there are elements of good science fiction in there. Like the classical beats of storytelling are mostly there. Young man, his colony gets attacked. I swear to God, folks, I think Zack Snyder pilfered from this movie. I'm not shitting you. They're on a small farming planet. Yeah, sounds like Rebel Moon, doesn't it? They're on a small farming planet, and an evil empire descends, and they immediately demand in the most mustache twirling way possible, you will be our slaves, and you will submit to us, and we will return, henceforth on your next harvest, which is in 9 cycles, and we demand your obedience. Sidebar, that's already more interesting than we demand your grain. It's still better, and that is still better than we demand your grain. But that's neither here nor there. And so, but then young man goes on adventure to hire mercenaries, like a kind of 7 samurai to fight this battle. And I'm like, oh my God, Zack Snyder ripped this off. What did Zack Snyder not rip off? Okay, like to make Rebel Moon. It's so amazing. But so I'm thinking about this, right? I'm watching it. I'm thinking, but for a couple of like small changes, like maybe a different editor or a slightly different producer on set to sort of like help George Lucas, this is what the original Star Wars could have been, right? Like it's, I don't think we fully appreciate how difficult it is to really pull off a classic, a masterpiece like Back to the Future or The Matrix or Gladiator or Star Wars A New Hope. Like that is so difficult. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Like the difference between that and a dumpster fire, it's like a razor thin margin, folks. It's a razor thin margin. One bad cinematographer, one bad editor, one director who with a little too much power, one producer with with too many notes, and suddenly this masterpiece of science fiction pop culture storytelling becomes a cheesy, weird space opera that's a little bit off-putting and got an uncanny valley going. And so the reason this occurred to me, the reason I found this so profound is I suddenly had this thought. Maybe we've been a bit hard on Disney. Now, follow me on this. Maybe we've been a bit hard on Disney. It's like, yes, everything they churn out is garbage. It's bland. It's basic. It's ChatGPT writing. It all feels like a rehash of stuff that's been done better. And maybe that's because achieving what George Lucas achieved with the original series, to say nothing of the prequels, is frankly extraordinarily difficult. And it requires a kind of singular dogged determination and vision. And it also requires a little bit of luck. It requires a little bit of serendipity, little things coming together, such as one of the actors ad-libbing one of the best lines. I love you. I know. Like that was just Harrison Ford ad-libbing a line. That's just luck. That's a little bit of luck that's helping that movie get just that much better. And it's like, if that luck isn't there, we don't have Back to the Future. We don't have Ghostbusters. We don't have A New Hope. And so in a way, Disney is attempting to recreate something that was lightning in a bottle. And we demand that they achieve this. And what I'm saying is, pimping ain't easy. I'm saying pimping ain't easy. And I understand, and maybe Disney be pimping and it ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? They don't try this at home, Disney. And so I have a little bit of appreciation for how difficult their task. That does not excuse, but seriously, that doesn't change the fact that, okay, maybe you can't recapture the pure magic of the original trilogy, but could we do better than eating glue? Like, could we do better than that? I don't know. Anyway. Ahoy, Tom! Permission to come aboard? Granted, sir! Granted! The captain is fired up today. It's a fisticuffs day. A British tar is always ready for a little bit of fisticuffs. Now. Oh, man, what WTF? Fu Man Blue says, hail and welcome aboard, Anthony, Timmons, and Tom. Thank you, Fu Man Blue, the master at arms. Star Fury. Yes, thank you, yes. You really bailed me out there, Star Fury, with the Davros there. Anthony says, not a clue, not a Whovian. Doctor Who, guest starring RuPaul. Yeah, it's weird. We can't have evil characters in wheelchairs because that's bad for disabled people. But we can have creepy drag queens as creepy puppeteer evil overlords. We can do that. How does that make any sense? I'm not saying, look, I'm not trying to make sense in the normal world. I'm saying in Russell T Davies' own logic. I'm saying I think by that logic, RTD does not like drag queens and thinks that there should be a negative perception of them. And that's how I'm reading it. So, well done. 5-1, awesome, well done. Staffhere says, nice ratio. Oh yeah. Well, thanks. You saw the back end there. We are a small but mighty channel. We're a small but mighty. I have a question, chat, and you can just give me your thoughts as the show goes on if you choose. I'm torn between, should I continue doing captain's clips? That's actually one of the reasons I started running this show up to 4 and 5 hours, because I figured I would clip it out into little clips to sprinkle out through the week. Which is tedious work, actually, but I could get a lot of clips out, as opposed to creating original videos, which is what I've been struggling to do the last couple of weeks. And do I focus on quality, as Bob Iger would advise me, and focus on just like 1 or 2 original videos per week? Or do I keep doing those captain's clips? Because you guys are here either way. You're here for the live stream, so you're like ride or die. And I am going to be putting chapters. I figured out how to do it. It only took me like a year and a half. I'm going to be putting chapters in the videos, so now you can watch the segment. So I will make sure that's in the description. But what I'm saying is, should I do the captain's clips of this show, or should I focus on original videos? You let me know, chat. You let me know. Star Fury says, classically shit, great tits, though, Sybil Danning. Thank you, Star Fury. It is a ripoff of Seven Samurai. That would be Battle Beyond the Stars. Is that what you're referring to? And also Rebel Moon. Rebel Moon! We have to protect the grain! The grain! I was remarking on the last Captain's Cast how, man, if nothing else, I admire and greatly envy Zack Snyder's utterly unflappable confidence. Like, his ability to he just types away, man. And then, bam, just rips off a screenplay. Bam, just like that. And then makes it a movie. And he just drops the mic and walks over to Joe Rogan and talks about how much damn money he just made for Netflix. And I'm thinking, damn, that's a superpower, man. He's like, and then when people are like, just making just a mockery of his entire movie, his response is, what do you want? You want committee writing or you want me? It's your choice, brah. Holy shit, man. That's so amazing. He's like, well, it's either that or worse. So I'm all you got, bro. Imagine that. Imagine having that ability to just be in total denial, just like, Zach, that might be something of a false choice. Whatever. I have a giant Kali god that's powering my ships with coal. You don't have that. Okay, fine. I agree with you. I could never have come up with something so brilliant. Something. Rebel Moon is an insult even to good fantasy, though. It really is, because it's fantasy sci-fi. Okay, well, fine. Let's look at it as just a fantasy story then. Forget the science fiction. Even fantasy novels have to have rules. All the best ones do. Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy. They all have rules and mechanics for how the magic works in the universe. Harry Potter has rules. Harry Potter has rules for how Harry Potter can use music. Rebel Moon doesn't have rules for anything. It just, you know. So anyway. Redoubt says, no, not Rebel Moon, anything but that. We're done. We're moving off that topic, Redoubt. Don't worry. It's just interesting to me. Just, you know, I'm just saying, you know, pimping ain't easy. It just ain't. You know, George Lucas, he's the pimp, man. And even he couldn't hardly recreate what he did with the prequels. Starfury says, next sci-fi movie you should watch, Captain the Ice Pirates. After watching it, you will think Battle Beyond the Stars is a masterpiece. I had a teacher in school who loved Plan 9 from Outer Space, which is like, it's like the Tommy Wiseau The Room of science fiction. It's like one of the worst science fiction films of all time. And he had a big old poster of it. He loved it. He loved that movie because of how bad it was. Anthony says, Space Hunter Adventures in the Forbidden Zone from 1983. Oh, Lord. Staffjere says, I raise you the Turkish Star Wars for absolute a shower of shit. The Turkish Star Wars. Oh, no. Fu Man Blue says, the sooner you start making original videos, the better. All right, very well. Very well, Fu Man Blue. I appreciate your input. Skip clips. All right. Interesting. Staffjere agrees. Original videos, please. Okay. Redoubt says, gotta protect that gosh darn grain, man. Hey, I said we're moving off. You wanted me to move off of Rebel Moon. And now you're winding me up all over again, Redoubt. How does that make any sense? Ed Wood, 1994, is also my favorite Tim Burton movie, a fictional account of the making of Plan 9 from Outer Space. You know, there was a really great film about the making of Nosferatu, a fictionalized version of it with Willem Dafoe playing the actor. What was it called? What was that? Willem Dafoe, who is just one of the best character actors of all time, let's face it. He is Green Goblin. His Green Goblin is even better than Heath Ledger's Joker for me. Like, his Green Goblin, especially in No Way Home, he just crushed it. He crushed it. That was so good. Anyway, Willem Dafoe, Nosferatu movie. It was called Shadow of the Vampire. Shadow of the Vampire. And it's like that. It's about the making of Nosferatu. John Malkovich is in it and plays the crazy director. And it turns out that it's looking like maybe the vampire is not actually a fake vampire. Like, they think he's a method actor, but it's looking like maybe he's not. It's a really good movie. It's a creepy horror movie kind of thing. All right, hang on. Captain, cough camera. Yes, restore. Now, on to our first story in the stack of stuff. And we hinted at this a little bit. But we have we have the Lord of the Rings trailer. I'm sorry. But my deepest apologies, chat. It slipped out. The Rings of Power trailer. Now, I don't know. Do you want to take a look at this, chat? Let's take a look at it. Just real quickly. We'll get the captain's thoughts on it, because you have not heard the cutting edge opinion until you've heard the captain's opinion.
An evil, ancient and powerful, has returned.
Prepare yourselves.
Dude, everyone is making this point. This is every trailer now has a brrr, brrr. It's like this is why I said I used to love trailers. Now I hate trailers. I can't stand trailers anymore. They're so freaking boring.
He worms his way inside your mind.
You have not seen what I've seen.
The rest of him slithers in.
You know, there are so many things about this, right? This is like the fast food version of Lord of the Rings. This is to me what this is a melodrama. This is a melodramatic soap opera, which is what they are converting Lord of the Rings into. It is, you know what? The word that comes to mind is common. Mundane. It's common. This is common. It's like it's telegraphing all of the same things you would see in like a Star Trek Discovery trailer or like a Marvel, an MCU show trailer, or the next Star War. It's like pick any show that is being previewed. This is how they approach it. It's like the what they're telegraphing in terms of like the dangers, and it's an evil and it's slinking in and whatever. You know what this is like? This is like the Acolyte trailer. This is basically just like the Acolyte trailer. Now, the thing about The Lord of the Rings is it is a literary masterpiece. It is a literary masterpiece. And the Peter Jackson Lord of the Ring trilogy, which I consider the greatest films of all time, there is no film ever that has more transported me to another world. Like, Lord of the Rings has honestly, that would be the Peter Jackson films, honestly have an otherworldly quality to them. I never watch those, and they never feel like any other film to me. Almost, they don't feel like anything else I've ever watched before or will ever watch in the future. That's just how unique they are. So when I see this trailer and it's just common, it's incredibly depressing to me, regardless of what the plot is, regardless, quite aside from any of the other criticisms of the show. The fact that they are reducing it to just a common run-of-the-mill TV melodrama is pathetic and sad. And also, it's exactly what Disney has done to Star Wars. They've taken an event of the century film franchise and they've reduced it to soap operas, run-of-the-mill soap operas. But if I may interrupt myself for just a moment, Fu Man Blue with a $10 super chat. And where is there it is. Thank you, Mr. Producer. And he says, hit me up if you want help reading or writing scripts. Well, thank you, Fu Man Blue. I definitely will need beta readers. So hat tip to you, my friend. Yeah, I've never mastered the trick of co-authoring, but I do sometimes employ help writing. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. Stick around and we'll see. But thank you for that very generous super chat. I appreciate it. But yes, absolutely. If you're on this channel and you're in the Discord, when I'm looking for beta readers of my upcoming works, I will reach out to you. So yes, stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's one of the many benefits, the manifold benefits of being present on the Swords and Starships channel, live on YouTube, Rumble, and X, formerly Twitter. And if you're excited to just rip on and roast some crap, some shit clown world going on in the entertainment world, well, like the video and subscribe and throw a little heart on the Twitter. Redoubt Productions says, everyone wants to be Hans Zimmer, yet no one can do what Hans Zimmer does best because they are not Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer does what Hans Zimmer does because Hans Zimmer is Hans Zimmer. It's, they're just cycling tropes, they're just cycling the same thing they hear everyone else in Hollywood doing, because it is, I like to call it the algorithm wood chipper. It is just a wood chipper. Valuable, storied, legendary IPs that are beloved are fed in one end, and shredded wood chips come out the other. That's what it is. I was watching the film Dread again last night. God, I love that film. It's so good. It's such a great... It's so good. So I'm watching the Carl Urban Dread film again, and it reminded me of the line where he says to Dredd, "You know what Mega City 1 is, Dredd," says the corrupt judge to Judge Dredd. He's like, "It's a meat grinder. People go in one end, meat comes out the other. And all we do is crank the handle." Oh, that's a great freaking line. That's so killer. That is so good. What else? Stuff here, it says, Don Lemonlass shooting out of a t-shirt cannon. What could you say but garbage incarnate? Yes, we're going to check that out. We are going to check that out. Stormcrow says, "There is a hatred in my heart that burns with the power of 1,000 suns whenever I think about rings of power." Lithium, anyone? Says Star Fury. "We have psychiatric emergency in the chat." Star Fury with 2 pounds sterling. A nice Merlot for the captain. Well, thank you, Star Fury. Very generous, sir. Thank you very much indeed. Wrangler's in the chat. Hail! Ahoy, Wrangler! Welcome aboard! Now then, back to this dog crap.
I think he has been here. I think he's been here among us all along.
Yes. The wig.
Every soul in Middle-earth is in peril.
This is like Hallmark Channel. This is like if Hallmark Channel did Lord of the Rings. Look at that stupid font. Look at that. It's all like sparkly. It's sparkly font.
He's Sauron.
Oh my god. Do you know what this is like, chat? This is like... Look, he created Barad-dûr. This is like when you were a kid, you know, like in middle school, and there was kind of the dorky kid that does something he thinks is super cool, and he just thinks he's super cool. And he's so not cool at all. Like, he's not cool. I wouldn't know anything about this. It certainly wouldn't be me. Anyway, this is the kid that thinks he's so damn cool.
He's
Sauron. Hey, dude, these writers, who are the writers? J.D. Payne and Vance or something? Let's see. Rings of Power. IMDb. I want to properly identify these idiots. Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Yes. Patrick McKay, John D. Payne. Who is a real pain. Is a real pain in the collective fans behind. Now, old J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, they think they're Vince Gilligan, folks. They think they're Vince Gilligan. They think they're writing like the Breaking Bad of fantasy movies. They think they're geniuses. These are two very stupid men. I'm telling you right now. How can they lack self-awareness? How can they not understand what a pale, pathetic imitation? This is bad. This is bad Reddit fan fiction. You are taking a literary giant and you are trying to act as though you can improve upon that and you can just riff on it. This isn't even like a Tolkien cover band. This isn't even like a Tolkien cover band. This is idiots at work, and they're like, "Hey, Sauron! Hey, Sauron! Look at him! Oh, he's so scary." Dude. No. Amazon, JD Payne, Patrick McKay. We hate your guts. Like, well, what don't you understand about this? Like, we despise everything you stand for. We despise this work of trash that you've created. Every indicator points you to this. The fact that barely 30% of your audience even was retained until the end of the story. The fact that you were a total yes, you can lord your Emmys. Yeah, those aren't worth the toilet paper that you. Never mind. Anyway, yes, enjoy your Emmys. But what matters is your audience doesn't exist. You're not wanted. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not wanted. Why do you persist? Why do you persist in all of these companies? They all do this. They just persist. It's like, okay, fine. I mean, I don't care. Just live your best life. But I don't understand the mindset that results in this. It's like, we're just going to crap out more of this garbage that nobody wants. Hello, Disney Mufasa. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants a prequel story about Mufasa. There it goes. A Rey movie. Nobody likes Rey. She bypassed the compressor. Screw that. You know what I mean? It's like, what? It's incredible to watch. They're masochists is the only thing I could think of. These are masochistic weirdos that are just like, well, screw you. We're going to make our movie. Okay, fine. Whatever. It's such shit. Anthony says, why does Guy Ladriel always look like she's holding a wet fart? Because she's got serious issues. She's got, she's got issues, okay, Anthony? I don't know what else to tell you. Allison Sweetie is Galadriel, a Hallmark presentation. Exactly. Starfury says, may the wrath of God smite all the unrighteous involved in this fiasco. Starfury is getting medieval on their asses. Starfury has had it, and he's firing his flamethrower. Stormcrow is channeling Gollum. We hate it. We hate it forever. Allison Sweeney can have my ring. I'm not sure what to make of that comment, Starfury. Wrangler says, try as she might, Anthony Timmons, Guy Ladriel's resting bitch face has nothing on Wednesday Addams, giggity. Now, interestingly enough, if I were to just remove myself from all the baggage around this show and just pretend I was objective and neutral on this, because I hate everything about the Rings of Power production. I hate it. I hate the idiots behind it, and I mostly hate the company that is running all these properties into the ground, including Fallout. Thanks for nothing, Amazon. However, if I were to just remove myself and adopt the persona of an objective, intellectual sophisticate, a critic of the pedigreed and approved intellectual class, and simply comment from that basis, what I would say is that, It looks like a mid-fantasy show with some production value and a couple of hooks, but it's basically just pat melodrama. That's basically what it looks like to me. It's pat melodrama. It doesn't have anything that's as laughable as, like an Echo trailer, for example. But now, if you throw into the mix that this is not an original story and it's based on the Lord of the Rings, it's truly pathetic in the extreme. So in any case, I know, Wrangler, I was reading too fast. Clarification, the giggity is in response to Starfury's comment, not Wednesday Addams. Yes, understood. Thank you for correcting the record. That's fair. I read that too quickly, and it removed important context. Important context, The captain just reads the chat as it comes, and sometimes it results in errors. The captain's reading of chats do not necessarily reflect the original intentions of said chat. Now, as astonishing as it is to you and I, we of the sane, we of the normal, we who appreciate the age of literature, Professor Tolkien, an actual talent, who created a life's work that will stand for all time as one of the greatest literary works of all time. We understand what a piece of trash this is. But as shocking as it may be to us, there is a subset of the human species which finds this stuff great. They love it. They eat this. They just eat this up. They're just like rings of power. Yay. They're like, yes. Give me more of that, Amazon. Meanwhile, where are they on Rebel Moon? Crickets. They don't care. They don't care about Rebel Moon. Rebel Moon's not a hot property. Lord of the Rings has some clout. And they're like super fans. Anyway, so they will just gobble up all this crap, no matter how much of it Amazon spoon feeds to them. And they are what is known as shills. Shills. The bar for a shill is so low that all they need to do is see like pretty colors. Like pretty colors get them excited. And the thing is, it's perplexing to me. I don't understand the inner workings of the mind that results in such a rationality. So it is incumbent upon me to study this species for posterity and to analyze them so that we can understand how this thinking, this psychosis, which is known as shillery in the DSM-4, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Psychological Practice, shillery is a debilitating condition, and we must learn all we can about it. Unfortunately, I'm not qualified for the job. I am not a scientist, but there is a man who is, and his name is Grizzy 1989, and he studies the shills in painstaking detail in his laboratory. And so we are going to take a look at his recent discoveries regarding this unfortunately blighted species. Hang on a second. Yes, I think that's it. Is that the link, Mr. Producer? No, that's not the link. That's not the correct link. Hang on. I fat-fingered it. And here we go. Okay, I got it queued up. But first, we yet another super chat from Wrangler. This time, a $4.20. Why, Wrangler? You and the generosity of the rest of the chat continue to humble me, sir. Thank you very much indeed. Wait, you said something this time. I'm not used to this. He usually just, he puts the 420 down and just, off he goes. Pretty colors, man. Well, thank you, Wrangler. I appreciate that. I appreciate you observing pretty colors. Like, I have this idea. I'm kind of fascinated by VTubing, right? And so I have this idea of becoming a VTuber shill. You know what I mean? And just doing this is what sucks. It'd probably blow up and it'd become this giant channel. But like, I basically it would be a troll, right? I would just be a VTuber who just shills for all this crap. And I just be like, oh my God, he's Sauron! And I'd probably wind up with this giant audience. Meanwhile, I'm over here on Swords and Starships just sweating. It's like, which, by the way, the film American Fiction with Jeffrey Wright, which I just watched, which is about the black author who hates the stereotype of pandering to the black experience. And he hates basically DEI bullshit. He hates it. And he just wants to leave the race out of it and just be a novelist who's celebrated for being a novelist, but his novels won't sell. And it's a great movie. It is a fantastic movie. And it just tears DEI to shreds from a liberal perspective. I would argue it is clearly from a liberal worldview, this movie, but you can tell that this movie it rips DEI and Hollywood wokeness to shreds. It's fantastic. But it also kind of makes fun of itself. That's the brilliance of it, is that none of the characters are perfect. They all kind of have dumb ideas in the film, including Jeffrey Wright's character, and he kind of gets called out on it, and he calls other people. It's what's known as storytelling. It's what's known as character work. It's fantastic. But what I find funny about it is that That's his problem, is that he finally writes a book just to troll. He just writes the most pandering black experience book possible, and it blows up. He's selling all these copies. He's getting all these movie deals, and he's like, no, he literally tries to deliberately torpedo it in the film, right? He writes this book called, what's it called? My Pathology, with an F. My Pathology. And it's just about how he was a gangbanger, and he killed his deadbeat dad, and his mama was never there for him. Just all the tropes, all the cliches. And it starts selling, and he hates it. He didn't intend for it to sell, and so he decides to torpedo the deal. So he's got this woke, white, liberal book publisher on the line with him. And he's got and this super effeminate man who's like on the line with him. We're so excited about your new book, and we're so excited to portray an authentic black experience. And and so he says, I want to change the title. And they're like, oh, well, we like the title, and we don't want to change it. He's like, I want to change the title. We're open to ideas. What's your idea? And he says, I want to make the title Fuck. They're like, what? That's the title I want. Fuck. And then his agent mutes the phone, and he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're screwing this up. And he's like, I'm trolling. He's like, I want this thing to end. I'm ending it here. And he's like, no, we're making so much money. So then they kind of fight for a bit, and then he mutes it, and the publisher and her little toady come back on the line, and they're afraid of him walking away from the deal. So they basically say, well, we thought about it, and we love it. We love this bold new title, and you're so brave for doing this. You are so brave. And he's shocked. So they changed the title of the book to Fuck. It's unbelievable. It's so funny. Dude, it's a great movie. It's called American Fiction, and so we're going to talk more. We're going to weave that through, because all of the stories in the stack of stuff are kind of related to the thesis of this film, and we're going to get into that. JD Mack is in the chat. She says, Rebel Moon was not good by any stretch. That's the understatement of the year, JD. It is. Rebel Moon is, it merits study. It merits study in the annals of bad storytelling. It's as I've said before, Rebel Moon is weird in its badness. It's very odd in its badness. It doesn't, even for a director who's as hit or miss as Zack Snyder, it's bizarre that he made something like it breaks every rule of good story structure. It borrows 1,000 different tropes from 1,000 different films of like 10 different genres. It's so he borrows from this historical. You know what? I think he was trying to do what George R.R. Martin does. George R.R. Martin. What he does with Song of Ice and Fire is what I think Zack was attempting to do with Rebel Moon, which is what Martin does is he looks at medieval history. Like real medieval history, such as the War of the Roses between the Yorks and the Lancasters. And he kind of uses that as inspiration for the battle between the Starks and the Lannisters, right? Then he takes something like the Black Dinner in Scotland, where a bunch of Scottish royalty murdered their rivals in their beds under a flag of truce. And he converts that into the Red Wedding, right? And as he puts it, he takes medieval history and he dials it up to 11, which is fantastic. I really do admire a lot of what Martin does with the Song of Ice and Fire, series. The problem is a guy like Zack Snyder does not actually understand how to do what George R. R. Martin does. Like, he doesn't understand that at all. He's like, oh, I'm going to take the assassination of Julius Caesar and World War I history and Skyrim and Warhammer 40,000 and Harry Potter. He just mashes it all together. He just mashes all of it. And I think Star Wars is somewhere like way down the list in terms of what he's taking inspiration from. It's so weird. It's such a weird movie, Rebel Moon. It fascinates me. And almost no one else, because no one even talks about it except your dear captain. Stormcrow says, the fans that like Rings of Power better pray to... Jeez, see, no, Oh, jeez, Stormcrow, that I never get power. I have no mouth and I must scream will be a vacation compared to what I... Oh, jeez. Okay. In Minecraft, Stormcrow is saying, peace, gentle Stormcrow, peace. Listen, we're going to have a good laugh at the Shills' expense. But let me just explain something that should give you hope. This is not a black pill Captain's cast by any. Quite the opposite, my good man. This is a white pill because it's not working. Need I show you this again? The ratio on the Rings of Power trailer, it's like it's got 10 million views and it only has 88,000 likes. It has over I think it's like 365,000 dislikes. Okay. That is a cataclysmic level of absolute like general and hardcore fan hatred. So we don't need revenge is completely unnecessary. They're doing it to themselves. Russell T Davies was a rock star. He could have retired from Doctor Who and been a legend, a rock star for the rest of his life. He could have basically just counted his money and his laurels and his fame and his fan love had he never come back to Doctor Who. Instead, he returned to Doctor Who and he deliberately turned it into the most insane, crazy, radical LGBT queer theory. By the way, I despise the word queer. I despise that word. It's icky to me. I don't like it. It's like, just say gay, lesbian, whatever. I don't like anyway, whatever. Or queer. And so he takes that and he drives that like a stake through the heart of his franchise and he turns it into the most pathetic, pandering, propaganda platform piece. And he runs it into the ground. He's doing that. The fans aren't doing anything. The fans are saying, okay, well, you said it wasn't made for straight white men and apparently just anyone. And we're walking away. You've turned it into a weird Tumblr, fetish post. That's what it is. It's weird. There's a weird... we'll get into this later when I bring up Russell T Davies again. But fans of Rings... No, listen. I never will. I like laughing at the Shills, but listen to me. I have no ill will towards anyone that loves Rings of Power. I think it's bizarre, and I don't always believe that there are people who like it. But also, like, there are people who just they didn't read the books. All they see is melodrama, and they like melodrama, and that's fine. Whatever fans there are of Rings of Power, you could fit them in a thimble. So don't even sweat it. We're gonna have some fun at their expense. But it ain't no thing, Stormcrow. You know what I'm saying? Redoubt Production says, I enjoyed I enjoyed the ending of what? It's reminiscent of Clue 1985, and he ultimately chooses the most overdramatic ending that the executives salivate because they know how pandering it is. Are you talking about... Oh, you're talking about American Fiction, maybe? That ain't a bad idea. Wrangler says, get a VTuber avatar made to look like John Sullivan. That would be the protagonist of yours truly's nautical novel series called Blood and Oak, which is a pirates versus sailors action-adventure story set in early America. So that's an interesting idea. I will consider your suggestion there. Redoubt Production says, I also really enjoyed when Arthur compares how a piece... Yes, you're talking about American fiction. He compares how a piece of art reaches mainstream success through different tiers of alcohol. You're right, Redoubt. That is a brilliant metaphor. Okay, I'll explain what this is. So in the film American Fiction, right, the main character, Monk, is his nickname. Monk is the author, played by Jeffrey Wright, brilliantly, who... He just wrote this stupid book as a troll, and then his agent says, I got an offer, and I'm going to sell the shit out of this. And he's like, no, I'm not allowing you to sell it. There's no way. He kind of needs the money, though, because his mother's got Alzheimer's, and he has to help her. And So the way that the agent talks him into it is he pulls out 3 bottles of, I think it's Johnny Walker, and he has 3 different labels, and it's like red label, black label, and blue label. And he's like, red label is garbage, and it's what most people buy because they're just looking to get drunk. Black label is meant to be a little nicer. It's, you know, it's for a gift or whatever. It's so you can feel just a little more classy while you're getting drunk on whiskey. But blue label's the good stuff. It's expensive. It's awesome. But very few people buy the blue label. And basically what he's saying to Monk is that you're obsessing over the fact that, yes, this novel you wrote is trash. But if you want to sell the good novels that you're proud of, those are your blue label novels. So what you need first is you just need to sell the junk, sell the garbage, and then to your really passionate rabid fans, you sell blue label. And that's what convinces him. And I was like, that's actually a really good, that would sell me. That would sell me. In fact, it kind of did. I'm like, okay, what's my red label, black label, and blue label story? I must consider this. I really did. I was like, I got to consider this. Fu Man Blue says Snyder is the Jackson Pollock of cinema. Yeah, shit slug trash. So true. Okay. Oh, yeah. Peace was never an option and war never changes, says Gentle Stormcrow. All right, let's check out the shills, shall we? Grizzy, take it away. Hat tip, Grizzy1989. Give him a like, give him a follow. I react to a lot of his content, so with great love and respect, Grizzy. And where is he at right now? He's at, how many subscribers does he have? It's hidden. I can't see it. Wait. Anyway, he's over 20,000. He's over 20,000. So here we go.
Imagine for 1 second that you managed to build such a sheltered, sensitive little safe space on YouTube to the point that you're comfortable saying things like this.
I really enjoyed Rings of Power Season 1.
There was a lot of stuff I really loved about the first season. I know a lot of people didn't. I did.
I didn't mind the first season.
Is that the Nut Gobbler? I think that might be the Nut Gobbler. I don't know. But I'm like, yeah. No, you didn't. Nobody enjoyed that. You only watched it because you have you have your shill channel.
I thought it was actually enjoyable. I don't know what the hate was all about so much.
I thought it was actually enjoyable. What was enjoyable about it, sir? They always speak this way. They're always like, I found it okay. I don't understand why people thought it was not okay. I did not hate it. I thought it was decent. It's like, that's not love. That's not passion.
Wow, I don't know, man. Did you try reading the comment section? Or would that violate your little safe space as well?
Look, I know people are going to pick at things and go, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this character. Like, I enjoyed it. And I'm excited to see where we go in season 2. Trust in the process.
And what process exactly is that? Not giving the fans what they want? Going out of their way to hire an all-female directing team? Or going out of their way to change the source material so it's suitable for modern audiences, right?
Not a great plan.
There were some departures.
Dude, this is the best image ever. This will stand for all time. Thousands of years from now, when archaeologists are sifting through the remains of our civilization, in the strata, they will unearth this image. They will be like, this was a symbol of the worst of their kind in their current culture. A radical, angry, one might say psychotic member of the citizenry who was never satisfied and always believed the sky was falling. And they'll study it. They'll study it for posterity.
Right?
Not a great plan.
There were some departures from the source material, sure, but that didn't get in the way of my enjoyment at all.
There were some departure. Listen, God, these shows make me sick. They make me sick. But folks, let me explain something to these dumb people. They're so stupid. I can't even take it anymore. It was fine. It was okay. People are going to picket things. I don't understand why. Sir, like, I need to understand how you are okay with this one plot element. Galadriel is on a ship. They are bound for the other realm. They're bound for the eternal realm. They're going to the east or the west. I forget where. They're going east. They're going east to the land where the elves go. I'm not like a super professor of Tolkien lore. So in any case, she decides she's not going to this land, and she jumps off of the ship. The ship disappears. The ship is gone. She jumps into the middle of the ocean, presumably hundreds, maybe thousands of miles from land. There is no land anywhere in sight. She was going to swim across an ocean. Now, quite aside from how insanely stupid that is, quite aside from how that makes no sense, she is, if that is to be taken seriously, she's the dumbest character alive in this world, which that in and of itself makes that one thing renders the show unwatchable. She's the protagonist. She's attempting to swim across an ocean. Then a Halbrand on a raft just happens to run into her in the middle of the ocean and save her ass, who also happens to be Sauron, who they need. Now that is one thing that happens in this show. Just one. In the very early season. How can you watch something that insanely stupid and apologize? How can you possibly make a case for watching this show? You have zero standards if that is watchable to you. Zero. Like, you have, how can you stand it? How can you not be frustrated when you're watching something that stupid? But that's not even the worst of it. Aside from all the bad dialogue, the terrible choreography, the unlikable, awful characters, the melodramatic fan fiction. Aside from all of that, how about another one? That a volcano erupts, and she stands there dramatically while a pyroclastic cloud, which would be filled with aerosolized glass, microscopic glass that literally will shred your lungs if you inhale it, flying at faster than the speed of sound at thousands of miles, or thousands of degrees centigrade. And she stands there dramatically and allows this, it's worse than a nuclear blast, hitting her in the face. She lets it hit her in the face. And what does she get in the next episode? Cheeto dust. She has a little Cheeto dust on her. How can you watch something this stupid and pretend to like? How can you do it? How can you? Listen. Yes, it's true that people are entitled to like what they like, okay? But you know, I'm going to expect some admission on your part that, yes, I know it's dumb, but I like it anyway. Okay, I could accept that. But I just, it's hard for me to respect someone who does not find that dumb, okay? Listen, I like the Avatar movies. I fully admit the Avatar movies have thin plots. They're not really good sci-fi, and they are kind of generic. They're a generic Dances with Wolves knockoff. Granted, all of that. I like it in spite of that for reasons I could list, but I'm not going to bore you with them. But my point is, I'm not sitting here going to tell you it's Shakespeare, all right? Like, just own it, man. That's all I'm saying. Just checking the chat real quick. Okay, here we go. Resume, Grizzy. Resume. Roll tape.
Oh.
Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
I think that this trailer looks awesome, and I'm hoping that the showrunners course-corrected a few of the mistakes from season 1.
The budget, yeah, of that first...
Mistakes. She jumped into the middle of the ocean with no plan. God.
Season, it was movie grade quality from the start to finish. Amazon, big love. It looks amazing.
Hot Sauron. Ooh, everybody loves Hot Sauron.
Jesus Christ. There's two things, Chlamydia. One, it's Sauron, not Sauron. And two, fucking whore!
So yes, Hot Sauron.
Chlamydia birds, yes. Dude, this woman is an endless fountain of memes. She's the one that coined the phrase "he hatered." He Vadered. He Vadered. It's unbelievable. She's like, oh, hot Sauron. Hot Sauron. What? What? Oh, my God. I rest my case. I rest my case. When I say that this is a generic, common, bland melodrama that beyond just pales in comparison with anything that could be called literature, much less Lord of the Rings, this woman's reaction is all the proof I need to support that claim.
And everybody's, certainly captured everybody's attention.
Dumb cunt.
Now, guys, I did check out season 1 of this series, and I didn't really like it. It didn't hit me. The characters didn't hit me. I didn't really enjoy it. I'm gonna go into season 2 hopeful.
I am in danger of having a modicum of respect for this young shill. I am dangerously close to having just a little bit of respect for this one. He just admitted, blandly, mildly, what's the word I'm looking for? Weakly, anemically admitted that the first season is trash. And I respect that, but let's see what else he says.
I'm gonna go into season 2 hopeful. Hopeful.
Well, judging by...
Why? Dude, but why? Who cares? Who cares? Why would you waste your time on something that's not... It's Lord of the Rings. It should be just awesome. It should be awesome. If it's not awesome, why invest any energy in it? I don't understand this.
Your thumbnail for your trailer reaction, you look like you're going into Rings of Power Season 2 with a big orgasm. In fact, let's check out some of those trailer reactions.
Oh, you gotta be shitting me. Ancient and powerful. Ancient.
What the fuck is that?
Dude, that is so... I don't believe that. I'm starting to believe these are fake reactions. Ooh, what is that? What is that? Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
We are them.
Elrond's gonna fight? We didn't get to see him fight at all last season.
Nobody cares. Yo, let's go.
Is that him? Is that our new Sauron? He looks good.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
You probably have never been laid.
So if this reaction is to be believed, this woman is so excited she can't even sit still.
What? Holy shit!
Oh!
I think this is gonna be good. I think it's gonna be really good.
Nah, this is gonna be class. I'm telling you now. Season 2 is going to be great.
Dude, if this is the bar, I do not want to live in the world where this is the bar for entertainment. It's like, by their definition, what's bad? Like, what would even be bad in their world? Like literally, is there anything? They might admit Rebel Moon is bad. That might be the only thing, but that's because Rebel Moon has no clout. That's why.
I seriously doubt that.
And despite the ratio, which these people are aware of, and
dude, 400,000 downvotes. Yes, burn, baby, burn.
Refuse to acknowledge, they still come out and tell their fans that this trailer was great.
Yo, I'm sold. I'm hooked.
I don't know how anyone could watch this trailer and not be excited.
I love that. That trailer was great.
I liked that first trailer. That was good.
I gotta say, the trailer looked pretty good.
Damn whore.
Oh, that discourse from season 1 that just permeates.
That's for you, Star Fury. Star Fury's avatar is, of course, Garrus Vakarian, so I know you love this. I know you love this, Star Fury.
The trailer looked pretty good.
Damn whore.
Oh, that discourse from season 1 that just permeated the show that I don't think is an accurate representation or reflection of how the majority of fans actually feel.
Are you fucking serious? There's over 5 times as many dislikes as likes on this trailer. How in the hell can you say that? And she even gave up reading the comments after 5 seconds because you can't violate the safe space.
What are people saying in the comments? What is everyone saying? All right, this comment section isn't great. That's to be expected, though. But honestly, I'm just gonna freaking tune all that out.
Yeah, good luck, sweetheart. Good.
You know, honestly, my question for her would be why? Why tune it out? If I were in her position, I'd be reading all of it. I'd be rebutting it. I would be ripping on those comments. I'd be like, oh, these... If I had her opinion of the show, I would take... That would actually be great content, I think. You know, go through the comments. Give me your case. Give me your case for why the comments are wrong. I'm genuinely interested. I would genuinely be curious to hear that. But the fact is there is no case, and you know it, which is why you're tuning it out.
Good luck tuning out common sense. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you smash that like button. More Rings of Power content on the way in the coming weeks, so make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Thank you, Grizzy. A scholar and a warrior poet is Grizzy, and I'm excited. I wasn't sure he was going to cover Rings of Power, but I am glad to know he's out there. He's out there. Because the Garrus meme where he's all like, damn whore. And sorry, sounds like one of my dates. Wrangler says, if this is the bar, then we're all overqualified as writers. Yes, indeed. You know, there's no industry in the world that's a pure meritocracy. There just isn't. Like, there's no industry in the world where you will only find the best of the best where they're supposed to be. And because some level of politicking is always going to be part of any organization. Some level of entrenched bureaucracy and hierarchy is going to get stuck in, and that's just how it is. But that's why free markets work. That's why free markets benefit us, because free markets create competition. So if one organization becomes too bloated, it becomes too leaden, it becomes too full of incompetent people, Disney, it collapses, and another company that is original and well run emerges to take its place. Which is why the wackos, that would be the SJWs, intersectional feminists, wokies, socialists, Marxists. That's why they hate the free market. What they term capitalism, they hate that because it creates actual they hate things like speech. They hate freedom of speech. They hate comment sections. They hate people having their say. They hate voting. More democracy. They hate it. They hate democracy. They hate voting because they don't like it when anyone that disagrees with them gets a say. Oh, we have to give a voice to the voice. Dude, there's a great scene in American fiction. It's fantastic. So the character Jeffrey Wright plays, Monk, right? He gets elected to this board that is going to judge, they're gonna give out a book award for a literary award for the best book of the year, right? They need diversity on their panel of judges, so they call him because he's a black guy, and they're like, well, we need diversity on the panel, and so they put him on the panel, right, along with another black woman who just so happens to be the author of the book that he despises, right? So but the funny thing is, him and this other black author, he actually starts to agree with a lot of her critiques, and they actually start to get along, even though he secretly kind of hates her work because he considers it the very type of pandering work that he hates. Anyway, but then there's like 4 white people on the panel. And of course, what book do you think winds up as their number 1 pick? Well, it's his book that he wrote as a troll. Fuck, it's the book. Fuck. It's brilliant. It's stunning. It's an incredible window into the African American experience. It's so timely. It's so important that white America received this book. Well, Monk is horrified because it's the book he secretly wrote. He's like, you guys like this? It's trash. It's absolute trash. And they're like, well, I don't think that's a good way to look. Well, what's funny is the other black person on the panel, she agrees with him, and she's like, "This is trash. I don't like it either." And so then the woke white woman on the panel says, "Well, because all the white people vote in favor of Monk's book, they vote in favor of it to win, and then Monk and the other black author on the panel, they both vote no, right?" Well, then the woke white woman says, "No, I think it has to be number one because we have to listen to black voices." But they've just overruled the two black voices on the panel. It's so funny. It's so hilarious. They're like, and both of them, Monk and the other author, they just hang their heads in their hands because there's no talking these white people out of it. It's so funny. It's a great movie. American Fiction. You've got to watch this movie. It gets a little bit cloying at times. It drags a little in the pace because a lot of it is also it's about his life and his family, which is mostly pretty good. It just lingers a little too long on some of those elements of the film, and it just drags it out a bit. But it is really good. It's I don't usually like dramas that much. It's kind of a drama comedy, a dramedy. And I don't usually go for those, but this one, it's probably because it appeals to writers. It's about a writer, and the scene where he's actually writing is really cleverly done because his characters kind of manifest in the room and he talks to them. I thought that was a really cool way of doing it. So what was it on? So I can recommend where you can see it. Just Watch. I always go to the justwatch.com site because it's fantastic. American Fiction. If you want a great anti-woke film, this is a great anti-woke. It's on Amazon Prime. Yeah, so you could Amazon Prime if you want to watch it. Anyway, where were we? Oh no. Oh geez, Star Fury. Oh no. I can't read that one, Star Fury. I guess I could read it. I could read The comments of Star Fury do not necessarily reflect the comments of the Swords. No, I'm just kidding. Calling for antibiotic cream for chlamydia burns. Wrangler says she makes me Vader prematurely. Oh no. Are you? Who's this question for, Janie? She said, "Aren't you a sweetheart today?" Who's that for? Certainly not your dear captain. I am giving the Shills more latitude than I usually do, though. I was this close, folks. I was in grave danger of having a shred of respect for that one Shill who was like, I was disappointed with the first Rings of Power, but then the second he looks at the Rings of Power too, it's like content. It's more content. It's like, oh, shut up. Oh, screw you. Go away. Screw that, I say. Where are you going? No, Anthony, it's too early to go back to sleep. Stay, Anthony. We have more good content. I have more content for you. How about, should we get Dave Cullen's thoughts on it? Maybe we will. I think we will, Mr. Producer. So on the Rings of Power subject, Dave Cullen had a great video. I thought we'd react to it. Hang on a second. Let me cue that up here. And add screen.
To have a serious conversation, Lord of the Rings of Power is back for a second season. So exciting. Let's check out the amazing trailer. Wait, what's the problem here? Why is there so much hate? I guess this is what they mean when they say toxic fandom. This kind of hate has no place online.
What's that noise? They put that in trailers sometimes, don't they? They start trailers with this sort of noise. I guess Smaug had a dodgy curry last night.
An evil, ancient and powerful has returned.
Has returned. And remember, a dog can bark at the moon, but he can't bring it down. Just like a cat can scratch at your door, but he can't open it. Unless the cat can jump on the handle, which, To be fair, some cats can do.
Oh wow, what an amazing crossover. Dave, Venom is in Rings of Power. Did you see? It's Venom.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it's black CGI shape-shifting goo. It's Venom, we know. Lord of the Rings is in the Sony Spider-Man universe now, I think. Man, this multiverse stuff is just getting out of hand, isn't it? I mean, first it was the X-Men in the MCU, and now it's what, Sauron?
Dude, hat tip Dave Cullen. Check out Dave Cullen's show on YouTube. I have got to tell you. And welcome to the chat, Christy. Ahoy! Welcome aboard. So, a thought occurs to me, right? So you have this black goo. You have this black goo emerging, and this is meant to be the personification of evil. Because Sauron is the master of evil. No, I'm just kidding. Darth Vader is the master of evil. But that's neither here nor there. He's the trained as a child soldier by the master of evil. Anyway. So the Lord of the Rings master of evil, Sauron, his evil in the land is manifesting as the black goo. The black goo! And I can't help but think that this is the saddest, most basic, most pathetic way you could visualize and symbolize the evil in Lord of the Rings, like in a visual form. It's like, it breaks my heart, quite frankly. It breaks my heart because I just think of the genius, subtle ways that Tolkien suggested evil and built up tension, like with the Balrog and things like that. These monkeys sitting at keyboards, at typewriters, they're just like, oh, and it's like a black goat. It's like evil incarnate. It's black goat. It's like that. God, the hubris of these people, the hubris of them, that they are turning this into bland consumer product. You know what I mean? There is a quote. There is a quote by Professor Tolkien. It's from the Lord of the Rings books. I'm just looking. I want to get the exact quote for you. It's one of my favorite quotes ever. I got it. Okay. This is from the Fellowship of the Ring. Quote, "All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither. Deep roots are not reached by the frost. From the ashes a fire shall be woken. From a light from the shadow shall spring. Renewed shall be blade that was broken. The crownless again shall be king." I just think, man, I get chills. It's just words on a page and I get chills like you can't believe. He's so brilliant. But that took time. That took life lived. That took a level of craftsmanship and originality. Do you hear what I'm saying? Originality. Poetry. And what do these idiots, J.D. Payne and, what the hell, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, they take that level of talent and literary originality and they get black go. So stupid. I despise these men. Now, Stormcrow, I don't bear this ill will towards the Shills. Detestable. Pathetic. That's a better word. Pathetic as their defense of this garbage is. I bear them no ill will. But as for Patrick McKay and Payne, screw them. They're as dumb as Alex Kurtzman, the dumbest man in entertainment. There you go. I'm sorry for yelling. I'm sorry for yelling, my dear chat. Wrangler says, I could take down a Balrog. I'll just throw Star Fury at him. You could launch Star Fury from a cannon and he'd just like blow a hole right through whatever it was, just like in like Gen V, he just like, one of the characters in Gen V has the Ant-Man power. She can shrink down. There is a scene where she climbs into a bad guy's ear and she comes out the other ear. It's one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. I'm a fan of Gen V. I really enjoyed that show. Yeah, Colin based AF, says Staffjord, eh? Christy with a laugh emoji. Yeah, I agree with you. Star Fury is a treat. Star Fury is a treat. Indeed. Resume tape.
Prepare yourselves.
Oh, believe me, Galadriel, we're preparing ourselves. We're preparing ourselves for season 2 because if you guys thought season 1 was amazing.
Do you know why a ship floats and a stone cannot?
Okay, so to explain this, we're going to talk about the differences in density. Okay, so to explain this, we're going to talk about the...
You realize that these shills hear a line like that, and I guarantee you they go right into shill face. You know? They go right into shill face. Oh, why does a rock sink and a ship float? They're like, oh, wow. I never thought of it that way before. That's because no one thinks of it that way, you idiot. They think that's poetry, man. Dude, do you think even one of those shills has read a page of Tolkien? They haven't even read The Hobbit. I'll bet you dollars to donuts they haven't read a shred of it. They don't know anything about it. They may not have even seen the Peter Jackson trilogy. You know, they probably think, you know, that the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Peter Jackson, is boring. Oh my God, who would watch the extended cut? That's like 4 hours. I'm not going to watch anything for that long.
Differences in density between the two objects and also the amount of water they displace when compared to their size.
Because the stone sees only downward.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize we were going with garbage dialogue and cringe metaphors that are trying desperately to sound profound and intelligent while actually being immensely stupid. My bad.
The sea is always right.
Dude, listen. Your captain, your dear captain, is a nautical man. I love the sea. I love nautical culture. That is the most embarrassing thing I've ever. The sea is always right. What the? Like, oh my God, these shills are out there talking about how much they love this show. How could you love a show this stupid? How can you? How can you? They can't keep getting away with it. Yeah, I gotta do the Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. He can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it. Hat tip Aaron Paul. Brilliant performance in that show, by the way. But you know what's funny? Quite aside, I was in an Applebee's, apropos of nothing, and I saw that Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul, that would be Walter White and Jesse Pinkman, are on like a life-size poster, and they're selling their own new brand of tequila called Los Hombres. And I'm like, really? What? What? Everybody has a tequila brand. Have you noticed this? Everybody's got their own tequila brand now. It's like, that's what you do. When you're rich and famous and you're past your prime and over the hill and nobody remembers what you're famous for, then you announce your new tequila brand. George Strait has a tequila brand. Bryan Cranston, Aaron Paul have a tequila. I think the Rock, Dwayne Johnson must have a tequila brand. I'm pretty sure of it. Resume tape. Oh, yes. Welcome aboard, Fubar Digital Lounge. I love that title, by the way. Ahoy! The sea is always right, except when it sinks that one ship and that other ship and a bunch of ships. It's so stupid. No, but you know what? He cut off how really the sheer magnitude. Okay, you know, J.D. Payne, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, John D. Yeah, J.D. Payne, Patrick McKay. I have to keep reminding myself what these two idiots' names are because that's how little I care. You know what I'm saying? I have to remember what these idiots' names. J.D. Payne, Patrick McKay. They're Americans, right? They're Americans, and they are the worst kind of like American writer that thinks all you have to do to make something sound smart is to put it in a posh English accent. That's what they do. They take a posh English accent and they think anything said in that accent is brilliant. Do you know why a rock sinks and a ship floats? And it's like, God, it makes my skin crawl, by the way that this actor is he's just curling every syllable around the accent so melodramatically. Do you know why? You can see the muscles in his mouth just flexing with effort. Just like, do you know why a rock what? I can't even, what? Producer, what's the line? Give me the line. Yes. Page 14. Thank you. Do you know why a rock sinks and a ship floats? Because. and it's like, because a rock looks down and a ship does not. He does not. And it's like, that's, only dumb Americans think that that's intelligent. That's what it is. If you said that, listen, let's try the line in a different accent, shall we? Let's try the line in an accent that is much more closer to my heritage and upbringing, which would be, do you know why a rock sinks and a ship floats? Because the rock looks down and the ship looks up. Now, how do you think that line sounds? Dude, it changes it, doesn't it? It changes it totally. Listen, darling. You know why a rock sinks and a ship floats? I'm going to tell you. Because a rock is always looking down in the dirt. And a ship, it's always looking up at the sky. The big old wide sky. And that's the difference. Dude, everyone and their brother would be saying that is the dumbest line I've ever heard in my life. Even the Shills would be like, I can tell that a Trump supporter wrote that line. That's what they would say. They'd say, oh, a dumb hayseed MAGA hick wrote that stupid line. But no, you put it in a posh English accent, and it sounds like poetry. It sounds brilliant. It sounds refined. Don't you know, darling? Let's hear it one more time. Let's hear the most hayseed hick stupid line ever in the prettiest over-tortured accent ever.
When compared to their size.
Because the stone sees only downward.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, God, he's almost as repulsive as Buttface. That would be Pablo Schreiber, the actor who portrays Master Chief in the Paramount Plus Halo show in the nude. Okay, he looks like Pablo. He's giving me Pablo Schreiber, a.k.a. Buttface vibes here, because he's just, the way he's torturing the syllables is driving me crazy.
Sees only downward.
Oh,
sees only downward, only downward.
Sorry, I didn't realize we were going with garbage dialogue and cringe metaphors that are trying desperately to sound profound and intelligent while actually being immensely stupid. My boy's right. I just wish he'd said, the sea is always wet.
Grasping for a handhold in a tempest. There is a tempest in me. And it will not be quelled by you, Regent.
And of course, who could forget these incredible lines of...
Dude, I said it before. I have been bred as a hybrid. I am half enlightened, intellectual, cosmopolitan city sophisticate. And my other half is hayseed hick. And I love scatological humor. So of course, farts are funny, okay?
Dialogue.
But you have not seen what I've seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
Dude, this is how dialogue is in almost every TV show now. To be fair to Rings of Power, this is how every show is like this. People repeating back to each other lines they've already said. And by the way, folks, this is why I'm so glad I watched... Oh, sorry, I had it small. I didn't mean to do that. This is why I'm so glad I watched American Fiction, because there's a scene when Monk is writing his trash pandering DEI novel, about the black experience in America. And he's sort of imagining his characters coming to life in the room and enacting the scene in front of him. And it's a really cool piece of filmmaking, I personally think. But what I love about it is the dialogue. That it's basically a deadbeat dad who abandoned he's a deadbeat black father and the stereotypical gangbanger black son, and they're having this argument, right? And he's deliberately trying to make it as stupid as possible. It sounds like this. It sounds like this dialogue, because he's like, why do you think you're such a loser? And he's like, I don't know, Dad. Why do you think I'm such a loser? And he's like, because you are a loser. You're a loser and you always have been. He's like, well, if I'm a loser, it's because of how you raise. That's basically the dialogue. I'm like, dude, that's exactly how modern writers write. Everything is just characters repeating superficial lines back to each other. And it's not advancing the story. It's not advancing the plot. It's not developing the characters. It's just gobbledygook. It's just Kamala Harris word salad. AI is 2 letters. That's basically what it is. Okay, let me full screen that for you, chat.
Marcus, taking your trades.
And there he is now. There's the lad. There's Sauron. Halbrand or Halibrand from the previous season. I can't even remember. But it's Sauron, right? But he's wearing a wig. And now he's got pointy ears as well. So he's presenting as an elf.
He is male elf presenting.
But no one can recognize him, right? No one can recognize him because this is the most convincing disguise ever. A wig and some ears. One wig to rule them all. On August 29th, get ready for some subpar green screening. Darkness will bind them. The strength of the wig bearer is failing.
He's Sauron.
What? How could you tell he's Sauron? He's got different hair and pointier ears. The Lord of the Rings of Power, the series you thought had been cancelled after season 1 is back. And so will my coverage of this show when it's released.
And mine as well, my dear chat.
Cannot wait for your totally not sarcastic comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
I know it's not very sophisticated of me. I know it's not very refined, but I really enjoy that. Actually, in fact, one more time. One more time.
The sea is always wet.
Grasping for a handhold in a tempest. There is a tempest in me. And it will not be quelled by you, Regent.
And of course, who could...
Oh my God. She of all the girl bosses we've ever seen, of all the girl bosses, she is the worst. She is the worst there's ever been. She is such a bitch. She is such a B-I-H on wheels. It's unbelievable. Ever since this observation was made, I think it was on like an open bar or something on the Drinkers channel. I've never forgotten this. This is exactly right. She, and by extension, all Mary Sue girl boss characters who are acting like the stereotype, in the same way a drag queen is performing the stereotype of what a woman is. I think this is what the girl boss is doing of men. They are doing a stereotype of what a man is, which is they run around demanding things, being dicks to people, and getting whatever it is they want just by yelling at people. And it's like, what's so funny is, if a man actually conducted himself that way, he would get his ass kicked. He would get his ass kicked, maybe killed. Okay. And what's so fascinating is you compare her, right? She walks in, there is a tempest in me. I will wreck your whole kingdom unless you give me what I want. It's like, now there is a male character that was behaving exactly this way in an excellent TV show this year, and that would be Shogun, the character of John Blackthorne. I am John Blackthorne, and I've come to your shores to open lines of trade, and I request to treat with your feudal lord. John Blackthorne, this Englishman, by way of Dutch vessel, arrives in feudal Japan. He arrives at the mercy of the samurai. He has no idea what their culture is. He's never even seen it before, so he has no idea what to expect. He immediately starts acting like she's acting in that scene. He starts demanding things. Now, he does try the olive branch first. He'll be like, I request to speak to your lord and to open a trade route. And then the Japanese, the samurai, they turn to each other and they mutter something in Japanese he can't understand, but he knows what they're saying. And it's basically like, what is this ugly savage saying to me? And he's like, damn you, sir! Damn your inhospitality! I demand that you listen to me. And so he's like, and then he says, piss on you, sir. And the samurai kind of understands what he's saying. They hold him down. They smush, this is John Blackthorne. They hold his face in the dirt, and the samurai whips it out and pisses on his face. And basically, I'm like, now that's accurate. That's what happens when a man goes around in situations where he doesn't know what he's doing and he starts mouthing off and being aggressive. Other men, hold him down and kick his ass and humiliate him. That is what would happen to someone like Galadriel if she behaved that way. But that's what's so funny about the girl boss. They can do that with impunity. They never have to learn that lesson. Christy says, what show is this? This is Rings of Power, in case you don't know. This is if you're talking about the Dave Cullen show, Star Fury will help you out. Yes. Wrangler says, she may be a BI itch, but that superhuman durability is off the charts. How many chicks do you know that can tank a volcano? Dude, I will never forget the image of Galadriel taking the pyroclastic flow to the face. Because I was a geology nut when I was a kid. Yeah, I was that kid. When it was the book fair time in elementary school, all the other kids, I presume, were, I don't know what books they were buying. All I know is I was racing with a pocket full of money from my parents to the book fair to buy books about volcanoes. Just books about volcanoes and like planet Earth and science and stuff like that. I really was. And dude, I still remember this volcano book. I loved this book. It was all about like how volcanic eruptions happen and everything. I don't know why the captain was obsessed with that back when he was a young ensign. I just was, okay? And so anyway, it's funny to me because I'm pretty well familiar with there's a great movie with Pierce Brosnan in it. It's called Dante's Peak. Have you ever heard of this? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? It's called Dante's Peak, and Pierce Brosnan plays a brave geologist who is trying to like escape. He's trying to help like some villagers escape a town that's about to be obliterated by a volcanic eruption. It's one of those kind of disaster movies. It was cool. It definitely had some very not scientifically accurate things in it. And there is a scene where he's fleeing from a pyroclastic flow, and it's like, even that movie doesn't do it justice because it's like, dude, you're not getting away from a pyroclastic cloud. If that's coming at you, you unless you can find shelter, you're dead. That's what took out all the people in Pompeii. Like all the people in Pompeii that are all just like twisted statues for it. That was a pyroclastic cloud. It basically fried them. It basically fried them and fossilized them at the exact same time. Okay, so let me see if I can find this. Rings of Power pyroclastic flow. It's coming up. I think it's coming right up. Yeah, I think this is it. And I don't even need to play the whole scene. I just want one little nugget of this. Here it is. Hang it. Yes, I've got it. I've got it, chat. This is the dumbest thing among many dumb things in the show. I could not believe this is on the level of the coal, the coal boiler room in Rebel Moon that powers the hyperlight ship. A coal-fired starship. This is as dumb as that. Okay, this is how Galadriel handles a pyroclastic flow, which again is not smoke. There is smoke in it. It's not smoke though. It is aerosolized pieces of volcanic glass, microscopic shards of glass that if you inhale, literally cuts apart your lungs and kills you. It is minimum 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's how hot it is. It is flying at you at the speed of sound. This is not a phenomenon that you want to experience, okay? Here it is. Yes, let it happen. That was the end of the episode. What? I couldn't believe that. I'm like, what? Listen, when I tell you that J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay think they're geniuses, they are so... These are writers that truly... Folks, when I tell you these are dumb people that eat glue, they eat toxic amounts of lead-based glue. This is who I'm talking about. I'm talking about these two idiots that are like, yes, she's going to stand there dramatically and just close her eyes as the cool winds of the volcanic smoke wash over her while showing it vaporizing buildings and wiping people out. It's so stupid. It's so insanely stupid. And well, but the Shills are like, well, it was pretty good. That's pretty good TV. I don't understand why people don't like it. I'm going to tune out all those negative comments. I'm just saying. Oh, you're so right, Christy. You're like wrong. It's insane. It's insane. Regular, my Starship runs on hamster wheels. Lots of hamster. Dude, you know what's crazy is I can't think of like it. So I've told the story before. I literally a couple weeks ago, my uncle, who's a pretty smart guy, he's been in like some pretty technical fields, you know. And I asked him, he had not seen Rebel Moon. And I asked him, I want you to guess what powers their starship that travels faster than light. And he was trolling me. And he said, I don't know, coal. And I was like, he was like, no. I was like, yes. You nailed it. You guessed it. And he said, I was guessing the dumbest thing I could think of. I literally think the only thing you could guess that's dumber than that would have to be, I mean, I guess you could say like witchcraft or something, but like hamster wheels is like the next step down. It's like, you know what's so funny is I heard about this, right? The F&T guys, they were Friday Night Tights. They were talking about, they had all seen Rebel Moon and they were talking about the coal-fired boiler room. And I'm thinking, no. And I'm thinking like, okay, I believe him. But I still didn't like believe it. You know what I'm saying? And then I watched it and I was like, I'm watching this. I'm like, I can't. It's the Titanic boiler room. I cannot believe this. It's so unbelievable. I can't. But anyway, but let's never forget Guy Ladriel. Just, I love how peaceful she is. And it's so dramatic too, because that's fade to black. Oh, what's going to happen in the next episode? It's like, what would have been nice is if in the next episode we just see like a Pompeii style statue of Galadriel, just like, it's just like it's frozen by ash forever. I could watch the show. If that were the result, I might have to change my opinion of Rings of Power. Redoubt Production says, I find coal-fired boilers coal in action on a steam locomotive, not a starship. It's so bizarre. Rebel Moon it's a mixture of World War I technology, like World War II costumes, and medieval, like feudal Europe royalty with ancient Roman Senate procedure and assassination plotting and Greek god myth. Like it is such a witch's brew of bullshit. I can't even. It's like he mixes 1,000 different things. It's like, remember when you were kids, and like the thing I used to do as a kid is we would get a the word for it I don't want to say, but it's the word for self-deletion. I don't know why we called it this, but it was, you asked for it at the fast food place. You would ask, it was basically mix all the sodas in the fountain, just mix them all into one cup. Why did we do this as kids? I don't know. It sounds ghastly. I can't even remember if I enjoyed it or not. I just remember that I would ask for this all the time. Mix all the different sodas in the fountain into one cup. And we called it the word normally used for self-deletion. We called it that. That is a great metaphor for what Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon is in terms of genre. It's just, he just went to the fountain of genre and he just got every single flavor in his cup and just mixed it all around and was like, here you go. It's bizarre, man. It's weird. It's weird. What else we got in the stack of stuff? Dave Cullen, that's a great video. It really is. Shall we take a look at, this is an interesting story. Redoubt Productions in our Discord, which is linked in the chat. If you want to join all the fun in the Discord, please do. You can hang out with all of us here. We're a fun bunch. We are. And in that Discord, you can send me things like, hey, Captain, I want to see this on the show. And I'll put it up there because I got time. I got nothing but time, and I'm lagging. Why am I lagging? Probably because this site is draining my power. So this from Forbes, and God, these ads are just insufferable. Shogun will move ahead with development of 2 new seasons at Hulu. Wait, what? I thought it was 1 novel, and we were doing a limited series. Now, as you know, if you've been following this channel, I consider this a pretty damn good show. I gave it an 8 out of 10. By the way, on my last episode, I got a little overexcited about Fall Guy. I think I gave Fall Guy a 9, and then I thought about it, and I was like, wait a minute. It's a good movie. It really is, but it's not a 9. Oppenheimer is a 9. Fall Guy is not a 9. So I have to downgrade that to an 8. So I would say Fall Guy is sitting around a 7 to an 8 is kind of where I would leave it. Very good, very entertaining. I would watch it again. Do I want to see it again? Not really. And so I think only a movie that I want desperately to watch again in theaters merits a 9. That's basically where I'm at with it, or better. But that being said, Shogun is an 8. It should have been a 10, but it got a little slow, you know. This actually might explain why it's a little bit slow, quite frankly, because I think they were holding out for additional seasons. The article says it's not an official renewal just yet, but FX, Hulu, and the estate of author James Clavell are moving ahead with 2 more seasons of Shogun, with a writer's room convening this summer. As Variety reports, this does not mean we'll actually get 2 more seasons, only that the show's producers and the powers that be at FX Hulu are moving forward at the very earliest stages. The show would need to be formally renewed, blah, 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 padding your word count. Season 1 was a massive hit, and it seems likely that it will nab a number of awards. Star and producer Hiroyuki Sanada, who was excellent in this show, has already signed a deal to return for Season 2, though we don't know which other cast members might return. Cosmo Jarvis, who was also excellent as James Blackthorne. Wasn't it John Blackthorne? It was not James Blackthorne. It was John Blackthorne. I'm John Blackthorne. Would make sense as a returning character, and I wish to treat with your lord and open trade routes, given that he lives out his days in Japan. But other major characters from Season 1 will not return. See, this is going to turn it into a boring melodrama, in my opinion. Okay. I'm not saying you couldn't do a multi-season show with, like, interesting feudal Japan politics. But what I will say the show lacked, for my taste, doesn't mean it undermines the show's quality necessarily. It's pretty much all concerned with the chess game of the feudal lords in Japan playing this kind of game, a very fascinating and delicate and brutal Game of Thrones for power, to sort of have control of all of Japan. And I love Hiroyuki Sanada's character, who, you know, Lord Toranaga, who kind of is the master of this Game of Thrones. That's all very good, but there's not a heck of a lot of great action. And there's something about this show it has an almost kind of adherence to a sort of Zen attitude about things, which is we live and we die. You know, we're all trapped in fate and destiny. We don't really have that much control over our fortunes, which is all fine as a philosophical theme. The problem is the show sort of actually plays this out as a kind of on-screen futility. And so the characters lack a kind of agency. there's lots of episodes that get very mired in all the characters are frustrated and angry that they can't do anything and there's nothing that can be done, but someone should do something, but no one's doing anything. And that's all it is. They just wring their hands about how there's nothing they can do. That's somewhat maddening as a viewer to watch, and I find that frustrating. For this to be a really interesting multi-season show, I think we need more action, and I think we need the characters to be moving the plot more. In other words, turn up the heat. Turn up the heat. That's what I'm saying. Spoiler alert for Shogun. Let me just skim this real quick. Is there anything I want to see? I don't really care about that. Netflix's Blue Eye Samurai actually takes place during the early days of the Tokugawa shogunate, which is related. That's basically the real life historical version of Toranaga, right? Which would be similar time period to Shogun. Yeah, by the way, Blue Eye Samurai, in my view, is better than this show. I really love Blue Eye Samurai, and it was some great action, definitely much more larger than life, much more of a romantic story, whereas Shogun is very much a kind of hyper-realistic historical period piece. So there you go. So those are my thoughts, Redoubt Productions. Thank you for suggesting that article. I have concerns. I have concerns based on the first season that it will degenerate into a kind of character melodrama, and I think that will undermine what makes the show so brilliant. What makes the show brilliant is that cunning Game of Thrones that they're playing. And I feel like we're going to have a lot of filler episodes where there's a lot of interpersonal drama that doesn't really move the story forward, which is kind of the problem with the middle episodes in season 1. That's why it's an 8 and not a 10 for me. The beginning and the end of the season were pretty brilliant, I would say, with Shogun. Did Redoubt have a thought on that? Now, Starfury, I would go to Wales. Nobody wants to go to Wales. Plaid. I would go to Wales. Where is Wales? I'm an American. I only understand distances related to where I live. I love it. Team America, World Police. Whenever they say where they are in the world, it's always distance from America. I know, that's so funny. It's like Cairo, Egypt, 6,000 miles from America. That's so funny. Wrangler says the actor's real name sounds like a pulpy space character name. Redoubt Production says they would be much wiser reusing actors to adapt other parts of Clavel's Asian saga, which includes a piece set in the 1860s. Just so, Redoubt. You're saying... Let me make sure I understand what you're saying. Reuse actors to adapt other parts of Clavel's Asian saga, which includes some pieces. That's... okay, actually, I think I better understand what you're saying there. I think that kind of went over my head. No, you're exactly right. So in other words, Clavel wrote other novels. So this could be like an anthology series. Now that is a much better idea. Take Clavel's other works, recast the same actors, kind of the way American Horror Story does it, make it an anthology series. I like that idea. I think that would be super cool. Christy says, I'm going to stare into my freezer, fridge, and then cupboard and decide on a can of seltzer. All right. This was fun. Well, thanks, Christy. It was good having you here. There's more show, and you can catch it. You can catch it on the restream, too. If the sound of my voice has not tired you. Now, my dear sailors and starnauts, which article do I want to go with first? So let's go with this. So as you may or may not be aware, Ubisoft, who are the creators of Assassin's Creed, right? They have finally decided to do what they should have done a long time ago and tell a story set in feudal Japan with a samurai style story. There's just one problem. Would you like to know what it is? Would you like to? This would be the diversity, equity, and inclusion crowd who want to tell stories about marginalized, aka non-white characters, right? And so naturally, feudal Japan is a great opportunity to cast a black man as a samurai. You know, I just want you, because you're about to hear some of the most bullshit gaslighting arguments you've ever heard. And I just want you to keep in mind, what would the reaction be if this were a character like the real historical version of John Blackthorne, right? In James Clavell's novel. Imagine a white John Blackthorne character as the main samurai. And I want you to imagine what the narrative would be, right? But yes, we have a fictional female ninja, so stunning, so brave, and a black guy as a samurai. A non-Japanese man as a Japanese samurai. So stunning, so brave. This from Bounding into Comics. Following Assassin's Creed Shadows trailer premiere, former Ubisoft contractor reveals rejected pitch for historically accurate franchise entry. Quote, I guess they tossed all that out for Black Samurai. With the debut of Assassin's Creed Shadows' first trailer, a former Ubisoft contractor has alleged that the gaming giant rejected his pitch for a more historically accurate feudal Japan-era franchise entry in favor of presenting players with a more progressive narrative. According to the ex-employee known on Twitter as @InfinitalComic, and whose affiliation with Ubisoft and the project was independently verified by the article's author, he had originally pitched a Japanese-era Assassin's Creed title back while working for a mobile game company, Area Game Studios, now Gamigo in 2013. Now, close quote for a second, because I remember reading articles years ago about how they were debating. This is more in the early days where they'd only done a few Assassin's Creed games. Now there's like 1,000 of them. But back then there was only a handful of them. I think Assassin's Creed 3 was out, maybe Black Flag. And I remember them saying that they were thinking about doing feudal Japan. And I remember at that time saying, yes, why wouldn't you do feudal Japan? That's a great idea. So this has the ring of truth to me. Open quote. I worked on some narrative elements for the Sengoku era of Japan for Assassin's Creed back in 2013 to 2014 when I worked under contract in San Jose, Tokyo area. Wrote the former contractor in response to a criticism of Shadow's announcement from fellow Twitter user @MangaLawyer. Quote, I guess they tossed all that out for Black Samurai and some cannon-destroying Kunichi boss. I'm so glad I'm not in that industry anymore, he added. I guess it's only fitting that my contributions to these studios vanish like everything else I worked on. Every MMO shooter I ever worked on has been shut down. So this is the guy who claims to be an insider. I tend to think that this has the ring of truth. And he worked on some elements for a historically accurate. Here's a brief synopsis of the original story from what I can remember. It's been a decade. The plot focused on the young monk Yamuchi Taka as the playable ancestor. Taka means hawk, to coincide with the then naming convention of every playable hero being named after a bird of prey. No idea if that changed with all of these newer disjointed games that no longer have Desmond as the core hero that bound everything together. The main conflict was about, quote, the Sword of Eden, aka Excalibur, Hanjo Masamune. Genghis Khan's sword, something like that, and how it had given its latest wielder, Oda Nobunaga, an unfair advantage in his conquest of Japan. After Nobunaga is assassinated by Hattori Hanzo, Taka becomes a part of the Brotherhood and under Hanzo is trained as an assassin, shinobi. Now, close quote for a second, notice how all of this, these are all Japanese historical characters. Open quote. The Brotherhood try to transport the recovered sword out of Japan, but are beset by Jesuit Templar ships, and it is lost. Now, close quote for a second. See, This introduces foreigners into the story, right? Jesuit Templar ships, which is great. This is your opportunity to bring in a black character, such as this character, Yasuke. You could bring him in as a side character or even an NPC or just part of the larger narrative. You can bring him in. But the main character stays Taka, right? It should be someone who is native to this world and this time. You know, they had the character of Connor in Assassin's Creed 3, he was half Native American, half European, right? Which fit the American Revolutionary War because it was bound up in the indigenous people and the colonists that lived in that time and place. That makes sense. But having a foreigner of any race other than Japan as your main character, I'm just going to assume, because I've been kind of looking in the historical record and it's difficult to sift through the bullshit, but I'm just going to grant that this character of Yasuke was, as they are portraying him anyway, generally speaking, a real historical figure. I'm just going to grant that for the sake of argument. Even so, choosing him as the central character is a slap in the face, to what is already there, which is a rich and storied Japanese history. And I love, by the way, these are the people that are totally fine with Isaac Newton being, of Indian descent. They are in Doctor Who. They are totally fine with Queen Cleopatra, who was Macedonian, being cast with a black actress. Totally fine with that. We need to imagine history as we wish it was for a modern audience. But as soon as they get criticized for race swapping, essentially, a Japanese samurai, then it's, well, he was real. He was historically real. Oh, now we care about historical accuracy. Okay. Resuming with the quote. The Brotherhood try to transport the recovered sword out of Japan, but are beset by Jesuit Templar ships and it is lost. To make matters worse, Hanzo is assassinated as he considers retirement as a monk. His lord, Tokugawa Ieyasu, charges Taka with finding the killer and recovering the sword. Despite Nobunaga's successor, Toyotomi, man, they're really giving me a workout here. Toyotomi Hideyoshi acquiring his sword and going on a rampage that extends into Korea. That sounds pretty rad. Taka steals the sword back and Mad Daimyo loses his power, weakening his campaign in Korea. Incensed by the theft, Toyotomi believes he was betrayed by the Templars and basically exterminates all Jesuits, Templars in Japan. Taka infiltrates Toyotomi's castle and faces him in a final battle, resulting in Toyotomi's death. Again, this is an industry insider who is recounting his pitch for a feudal Japan Assassin's Creed game back like 10 years ago when they were first considering it at Ubisoft. Open quote. The ambitious Dayamo is left to die as Taka slips away before his retainers could intercept him. The now seasoned assassin spares Toyotomi's infant heir, knowing the clan has lost its teeth and will eventually wither without Hideyoshi. Ieyasu begins his ambitious power grab, demanding Taka and the Brotherhood give him the sword and help him wipe away Abstergo, in Latin, all of his enemies from Japan to fully unite it under his clan's banners. Taka and the Brotherhood decline and vanish into the shadows with the sword. Oh well, Black Samurai and Kunoichi it is. What a shame. So that's basically the original pitch, and this guy is saying that was totally rejected 10 years ago, and now here we are 10 years later, and we are race swapping. We are culturally appropriating. Now, these are not my morals, by the way. These are not do not misunderstand. I think cultural appropriation is a bullshit term. It doesn't really exist. It's meaningless. It's meaningless. We are humanity. I don't believe in race. I don't believe in it. I think that, yes, are there differences in ancestry? Of course. Absolutely. Of course there are. Are there differences in culture and cultural heritage? And is that important? Of course it is. I'm not denying any of that. But the idea of organizing society by race is absurd to me. And what's I love also, the character in American fiction, Monk, says exactly the same thing. He's like, I don't believe in race. He says to one of the characters, which is like based. Anyway, but what I am saying is, by their logic, that would be the wokies, the wackos. By their logic, this is cultural appropriation. They are appropriating Japan. They are, look at this, folks. They are taking a non-Japanese man and they are dressing him. These are the same wackos, the wackos that will not allow white kids at Halloween to dress up like Indians, or else they're evil and their lives, they got to be doxxed and their lives have to be destroyed and they got to be expelled from school and all manner of punishment must be meted out to these evil children who dare to pretend to be, some other cultural archetype, right? These same wackos that go around lecturing us about morality, look what they do. They take Japanese feudal history and they dress a non-Japanese character in all of this regalia. If this were a European character, woke Twitter would be on fire. They would be on fire. You think Stellar Blade is bad? You think the Helldivers cut? Oh my God. If this were a white character, they would be in orbit over this. But because it's a black character, so stunning, so brave, cultural appropriation is totally okay. This is why I say wokeness does not have principles. They don't have any actual principles whatsoever. Because the moment that any of their so-called principles of equity and inclusion, the very second they become inconvenient to them, they are discarded and forgotten. And literally, if you point this out to them, their answer will range from flat-out blindness to the obvious truth you're pointing out to crazy cope. Don't believe me? Try this headline. Dude, folks, you are not going to believe this headline. You are not going to believe the arrogance of SJW, woke progressives. It knows no bounds. This from IGN. Is this IGN? Yes, this is IGN. Let's not pretend we're mad that the new Assassin's Creed Shadow Samurai isn't Asian. Folks, this is absolute proof that they know. Their hand is in the cookie jar, and they damn well know it, and they're circling the wagons. Quote, it does nothing for Asian representation to have another samurai hero. Oh my God. Folks, the staggering arrogance of that line. Let me read this again. Sorry, hang on. There it is. This is what IGN has to say about this. I hate to use the word because it's so overused, but controversy, let's just call it that. It does nothing for Asian representation to have another samurai hero. Who is the author of this? This is by Matt Kim. All right, well, at least it's not a white dude. It's not a white dude saying it. That does not change how snotty and arrogant this assertion is, though. Let's check out the article. Ubisoft has finally announced its long-awaited Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan. Subtitled Shadows, it follows dual protagonists, a ninja named Naoi and a samurai based on the historical black samurai Yasuke. So stunning, so brave. While it is a known issue that Asian representation in Western games is severely lacking, I find it hypocritical and laughable that we're only now talking about the need for an Asian protagonist now that it's been revealed Assassin's Creed Shadows will star a black samurai. Close quote for just a second. Let's not get it twisted, sir. Let's not get it twisted. We do not give a shit about this nonsense, this sick worldview in which everything must be broken down by race. Everything must be a racial issue. Everything must be about oppression. Everything must be about who's oppressing whom. We have the sane, we have the normal, we have just, regular gamers who just want to have some entertainment and some fun of all different walks of life. We don't give a shit about any of this nonsense you believe. Okay, so we are not wringing our hands that there's a, quote, lack of Asian representation in the video game. That's not the issue. The issue is we are pointing out that you, sir, you woke wackos, you are the hypocrites. It is your rules, not ours, that require that we have this game of representation, this checkbox game play attached to everything. You're the ones that demand this, and now you're defending the exact reverse opposite. You're defending the exact reverse opposite of what you've been demanding. You just admitted that there is, by your words, you believe there is a lack of Asian representation in Western games, but you don't mind that it's been culturally appropriated. These are your rules, not ours. That's why you're the wackos and we're not. Open quote. This misses the forest for the trees. Oh, do enlighten us. While I am always advocating for more Asian men in AAA games, I'll be the first to say that better representation isn't going to be found in yet another samurai hero. Oh my God. The absolute snotty derision. The arrogance of who the hell are you? Who the hell are you to say that? Anyway, Ubisoft deciding to focus on Yusuke, a known historical figure. Yes, because Wikipedia made sure to edit everything and sanitize the article to back up our narrative on this, is a smart move. An Assassin's Creed game set in Japan that otherwise would have been, frankly, hard to distinguish from some other recent open-world samurai games. And if I wanted to see an Asian samurai protagonist, I don't have to look very hard. You would not be saying this if it were John Blackthorne. If this were an English explorer or a Spanish explorer dressed up in samurai garb, you would not be saying any of this. You'd be saying the exact opposite. You are a hypocrite. Mr. Kim, you are a hypocrite. You are coping. You are making up a bullshit convenient argument to defend what by your own rules, not mine, yours, are indefensible. Indefensible. Asian samurai protagonists are a path already well trodden. There's Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, Katana Zero, Like a Dragon Inshin, Samurai Warriors, Rise of the Ronin, Omnimusha, Way of the Samurai, Way of the Samurai 2, Ghost of Tsushima. There's also my personal favorite, Muramasa, the Demon Blade. I can go on and on, so it's difficult to come to any other conclusion than that the limited imagination of AAA games development can only envision Asian heroes when they wield katanas or ninja stars. You know what's so insanely stupid about this? Okay, this is the same guy that if they made a game, right, about ancient Greece, right, and they made the main character, right, just, pick someone that's not Greek, right, just, he's, a Native American, they put a Native American character as Hercules, and we would be saying, rightfully so, that you've just race swapped an ancient Greek historical figure or mythical figure that we know is supposed to be Greek. You've just swapped it to a race that person is not, and this is, this same guy would be telling us that that's white supremacy, and that we just are upset that people of color are getting representation. That's what he would be saying. His argument is that because all samurai games feature samurai, that's boring, and we need to shake it up a bit. That would be like saying that every game, like God of War, oh, geez, why is God of War always about Greek characters? It's boring. It's like in every God of War game, we have to have the same things. Hoplites and Spartans and Athenians. Jeez. It's as if to say that's all ancient Greeks were. Well, yes, sir, that is what ancient Greeks were. They were hoplites. They were Spartans. They were Athenians and Macedonians. That's what they were. That was how they looked. That was how they fought. That is what God of War is supposed to look like, or any other Greek mythology game. It should look like Greek mythology. That's what it should look like, okay? He's saying that, geez, Does every samurai game have to have samurai? That's like, well, you know. Anyway. Worse still, the complex characters that were so wonderfully brought to life in shows like Shogun are often distilled into their simplest forms in games, especially those created by Western studios. Close quote. So then how is it helpful? Dude, you have an opportunity here to have more nuanced, interesting Japanese historical figures. So how would it be helpful to swap the main character to an outsider? How is that helpful? Open quote. While Japanese developer-led titles like Sekiro and Like a Dragon Inshin utilize their samurai protagonists, by the way, I'm sure that this guy was a huge fan of Tom Cruise's Last Samurai. I'm sure he thinks that was brilliant and a refreshing change from boring samurai movies where it's only about Asian samurai. Jeez. I'm sure he loved it that Tom Cruise was the Last Samurai. I'm sure that was his favorite. He would defend that, right? He would defend that. He would say that there are plenty of movies about samurai. Go watch William Kurosawa if you want another boring Asian protagonist. If you want something stunning and brave, Tom Cruise as a samurai. I'm sure he would. Open quote. Where was I? I lost my place. Dragon Inshin utilized their samurai protagonist to tell a nuanced story about overcoming fantastical challenges or provide a glimpse of street-level heroics in Edo, Japan. The Western-developed games fail to hit a similar level of complexity, often falling back on tired tropes of honor and stoicism. Close quote. Because that's what the culture was. That's the culture of that time. That's like saying that's like saying, oh geez, do we have to have another gladiator story about ancient Rome and its principles of stoicism and honor? Because that was Rome. That was ancient Rome. What are you talking about? This is so much mental gymnastics. Open quote. And that's only accounting for games that try to tell a story using their samurai protagonist. More often than not, the samurai archetype is a vehicle for combat first, eschewing any kind of narrative flavor for a cool sword and a top knot. Consider hero games like Overwatch that feature two kinds of samurai and a ninja for their Japanese cast, and all flowers to Ghost of Tsushima for its beautifully rendered open world and combat. But Jin Sakai is about as much charisma as a wet piece of cloth. Close quote. You know what? I agree with you, Mr. Kim. Let's just remove all samurai characters and all Japanese iconography from video games. Would that fix it for you, sir? Would that fix it for you? What are you talking about? What does this have to do with race swapping a Japanese historical figure? Open quote. Wow, cool sword. The main grievance I have as an Asian American in games in regards to representation isn't the lack of it, as evidenced by the Wikipedia page full of, I'm sure that's your main source of all research, full of Asian fighters and ninjas and samurais, but rather is the lack of diversity therein. I've reported previously in a story about Asian American game devs and representation that we are not a monolith, and I, a Korean American, what? I'm sorry. Did you just say that you're a Korean American and you are talking about what Japanese history should be represented as? From where I sit, sir, you and I are on the same footing here. You and I have equal footing in terms of our ability to critique Japanese history. Yes, dude, I love that. He's a Korean American. This is the most American. This is such an arrogant American attitude. This is such an American-centric attitude of like, we're going to tell the rest of the world how their history should be talked about and portrayed. God, I despise wokeness. It is a mind virus. It is a cult. It is a sickness. This is a sick worldview. Allow me to once again state for the record, I do not care. I actually think, the Yasuke, from a historical perspective, I personally think it's still the wrong choice. I think the better way to get at would be Yasuke is one character and a Japanese historical character is the other. Sort of like, you play multiple characters or just a Japanese character, and Yasuke is a secondary character in the story. That being said, Yasuke, based on the historical legend of who he was, regardless of whether how true it may be, there's some interesting stuff there. I don't actually give a shit. Make it John Blackthorne. I don't care. I think it's not the best choice, but is it evil? Is it wrong? Not really. You know, if it's a good story, it can work. What I am pointing out is that guys like Mr. Kim here, who wrote this article, they are hypocrites. They are the ones that go around demanding that established stories change everything. They are the ones that go around demanding that Sir Isaac Newton be race-swapped and then calling us bigots for objecting to it while defending this situation here. They are hypocrites. They are attempting to defend this choice through historical accuracy. Open quote, of course, all of this comes with the caveat that it is the nature of AAA game development to focus on cool characters with wide appeal. Oh, God forbid. Everyone thinks Japanese people and their history is cool. Well, screw us evil bigots, for admiring their culture. Can you think of anything worse? Open quote. Samurais and ninjas are cool, and their tools and weapons lend themselves to big action blockbusters. So is it surprising that... Wait, I thought there was a lack of representation, sir. Which is it? Either they are great in big action blockbusters, or they're not. Which is it? There's not enough of them, or there's too many? I'm confused. So it is surprising that such characters become the default. Maybe not, but after so many games, it's still disappointing to see how little chances these stories take with these characters. Given the Assassin's Creed franchise's history-jumping concept, we could have our cake and eat it too with a little effort. Why settle for another samurai hero when the franchise could easily go to the Mongol Empire or post-revolution China? Or even the Pacific Theater in World War II, which was a hotbed... What? Dude, he just went way off the rails. What does that have to do with Japanese history? The setting is Japan. The setting is Japan. Now, we can have a discussion about whether there's a more interesting setting. Fine. But that's not what's at issue here. In this setting, they've made a creative choice, which is ridiculous. He's conflating Asian culture with Japanese culture. He's conflating the two. They're separate things. What else in this? Is there anything else I want to cover in this? We mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger. I mean, in principle, I don't disagree with that. I don't have a problem with exploring more themes, but why are you defending this odd choice by saying that samurai culture is boring and it's, we've done it, it's overdone. We need to, so this is a good idea. Let's go ahead and have Yasuke. I really feel like this article lost the plot. He starts out by saying it does nothing. So he starts out by defending the choice, but he ends the article by basically saying all Japanese samurai settings are boring now. Let's do something else. And he's a Korean American saying this. All right. Well, okay, fine. How is that a defense? How is that a defense of the creative choice at issue here, sir? I don't understand. Now. Let's see. What else? I think I've quite covered that. Let's get to you, chat. Let's get to you, my dear chat. I've gotten too far back here. Nobody wants to go to Wales. Yes, I got that one. Star Fury. Nobody wants to go to Wales. Wrangler says they made Prince of Persia The Lost Crown, and it's a damn good game. Hear, hear. Stormcrow says, William Kurosawa is more faithful samurai than anything Ubisoft could ever make. Look, I think as a matter of storytelling that an outsider character, particularly one based on a historical figure, could be interesting? Sure, I think that could work. Do I think that should be your main protagonist? No, I think that's a missed opportunity. I think the main protagonist should be someone from that period and that place. You can have a secondary you can have a second or secondary character that is an outsider, and I think that works. It's kind of how James Clavell's Shogun novel is structured in the first place. An outsider and an insider kind of becoming a meeting of the minds, right? That's useful in storytelling because it has the fish out of water concept, stranger in a strange land. That's all fine. My problem is that none of those things, none of those creative arguments have anything to do with why we're seeing this character. The reason that they chose this character is because they are blinkered. They are blinkered by a worldview that cannot help itself. It cannot help itself. They must racialize everything. They must make everything an issue of representation and race. And I was just thinking the other day, you know, it is exactly like the doublespeak in 1984. They say diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what it really means is hypocrisy, tyranny, and perversion. That's basically what it really means. Hypocrisy, tyranny, and perversion. Certainly, if Doctor Who is any indication. Perversion of good storytelling. Look at how blind they are to like what they did. They don't even understand what they did wrong. It's like, you are the wackos that have argued for years that cultural appropriation is bad. You're the ones that are always wringing your hands about whitewashing history, but then you turn around and rewrite history and culturally appropriate history. And then you don't, but it's a marginalized person. But that's not consistent. Like, that's not, either you can culturally appropriate or you can't. There's no in between there. Redoubt Production says, yes, AC3, when the Templar prologue was more engaging than the main story, but I'm biased since restaging Braddock's defeat is a game-level tailor-made for a French and Indian war buff like me. Yeah, I mean, I've never gotten super deep into the Assassin's Creed games. I played a little bit of Assassin's Creed 3, and it is glorious just going through Boston. That is pretty cool. It's funny to me how they act as though they care about the historical record while totally just doing whatever the hell they want with the historical record. Literally Wikipedia has been furiously editing Yasuke's article entry so that they can make sure the narrative is protected. Wikipedia is a corrupt, disgusting company. And I regret ever having donated to Wikipedia. This was years ago when I felt they were unbiased. It's like, I will never give another penny to Wikipedia. They are corrupt, captured propaganda wing. They do not stand for impartial information. They do not stand for any kind of permanent record of history. And they're not trustworthy. Yes. So there you go. Wrangler's got to run. Well, good night, Wrangler, and thank you for coming aboard. There he goes. There he goes. Now then, what's next in the stack of stuff? I feel, I think I want to pivot. Maybe we'll cover the RTD thing. We'll hit the RTD thing real quick. And then we're going to pivot into some more fun stuff. All right. So next, try this headline, my dear sailors and Starnaut. This from Bounding Into Comics. Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies dismisses critics of his decision to focus on queer themes. Ugh, I hate that word. I really hate that word. Queer themes in his Dark Little Corners. Quote, in Dark Little Corners, people might argue, but that's not the real world. Oh, no. In the opinion of Russell T Davies, the bevy of criticisms leveled towards his decision to make, quote, queer themes a central focus of Doctor Who are not only inconsequential, but ultimately detached from fan sentiment in the real world. Davies offered his defense of his latest take on the Time Lord during a May 2024 interview given to Collider's Samantha Casey in promotion of Doctor Who's return to the airwaves. At one point, making note of how the show, quote, just keeps leaning more into queer themes and everything, especially since the specials, Casey eventually asked Davies if he could speak about leaning into that more intentionally, to which the showrunner replied, "It's funny, Because to be actually honest, it's almost not that deliberate because that's the life I lead. I wrote a series called Queer as Folk in 1999 that broke down many barriers, and I'm never going to step back from that. Well, close quote, Queer as Folk was watched by queer folk. That's who watched it. It's not a mainstream show. Like, that's not a show with a fan base of multi-millions. So it's a niche show. Resume quote, in fairness, no one's ever asked me to step back from that. And I just think it doesn't even feel particularly queer to me. It feels natural. It's 2024, and we're all embracing this. Twitter might kick off, and in dark little corners, people might argue, and that's not the real world. The real world is one of acceptance, and with battles to be fought, and votes to be gained. Close quote. Well, I have bad news for you, Mr. Davies. You wish that were the real world. But the fact of the matter is, people have opinions. People have tastes and preferences. It is a strikingly aggressive and tyrannical attitude to assume that because your work is not to someone's taste, that they are somehow that they're a small dark corner, they don't really exist. Isn't it funny the people that are we exist and we need to be seen are always the people saying, oh, those people are invisible, they don't really exist and they don't matter. Isn't that funny how that works? Hypocrites. Hypocrisy, tyranny, and perversion. That's what diversity, equity, and inclusion really stand for. And this is the perfect example of that. So Mr. Davies, that is not accurate. That is not accurate. You have taken, you act as though, well, this is just my life and it's just how things are, but also we need to lean into queerness. Well, which is it? Which is it, sir? This does not appeal to a mainstream audience. People have a right, whether or not you agree with them, whether or not it's fair, people have a right to simply have a matter of taste and opinion about something and say, you know what, this is not the show. This is not the show I want to watch. And you know, what's so amazing is, you know, in the 90s, that was, I would say, the era where acceptance of gay people was on the rise. Slowly but surely, it was turning around. Then in the early 2000s, it got to a point where basically most people in the Western world, the Western Judeo-Christian world, certainly not in the rest of the world, by the way, began to just not really care that much. And we achieved tolerance. And then we even started to achieve a level of just acceptance. Yeah, you know, everybody knows someone in their life that's gay. It's not a big deal anymore. Who cares? But that wasn't enough for wackos like you, was it, Russell T. Davies? No, it's never enough. You need to reach into people's very thoughts. You need to reach into their very soul, and you need to grasp with your grasping, greedy hand and twist and control the very way that they think, or you're not satisfied. That is an evil, destructive mentality, and it is destroying. It is destroying people's empathy towards gay people. It's setting back gay rights because you are acting like assholes. You are acting like assholes to people. And it's very unbecoming, sir. Resuming with the quote. In schools, we now have people who can come out and be happy and thrive. What? Schools? What? Why are we obsessing over schools all of a sudden? We have people who can come out and be happy and thrive, which when I was that age was literally impossible, he asserted. So that's got to be a better world. So I simply write quite naturally. I don't think about it that much. Lie. What are you talking? You cannot stop thinking about it. That is my world, and I'm trusted by my bosses to put my world and my writing on screen. My world, my writing. This is an extremely self-destructive attitude. This is an amateur mindset. Literally, I as the writer, I am the only one who matters. What I want is all that matters. He does not care whether the show is successful, which is frankly a disservice to the actors, the producers, everyone that works on the show. He does not give a shit. That would be Russell T. Davies. He does not give a shit about any of those people. It doesn't matter to him whether the audience is served, and by extension, the show is successful and the people that work on it are served. He does not give a shit if Ncuti Gatwa has a role next year. He doesn't care. If this show goes down the tubes, it gets canceled, and Ncuti Gatwa never works again, Russell T Davies doesn't care. He got his. This is a selfish, amateurish, and self-destructive mindset. Notably, the article goes on, Davies is not the first production member of Doctor Who's latest season to specifically dismiss critics of the series' new queer direction. Asked by Slate's Isabel Kleiger what kind of responses they expected to their casting as newly introduced villain the Maestro would draw, transgender drag queen Jinx Monsoon, who is a villain. We cannot have disabled people as villains, but we can have transgender drag queens as villains. Russell T Davies said, this is Isabel Kleiger, Russell T Davies brought Doctor Who to everyone. He brought it back because he was passionate about it. To the people who have issues, the show that you love was created by a queer person. Get over it. Nobody had an issue with that. You're the one making an issue, Davies. You're the one. You're making this an issue. And you're telling the audience, everyone, to frack off. Quote, a lot of people are going to really love this. That's a matter of opinion. And I think this season is going to create a lot of new Doctor Who fans, Monsoon continued. And if we lose some of the transphobic ones, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Oh, my God. Just the viciousness of this ideology, the exclusiveness of this ideology. Fair or unfair, right or wrong, people have a right to their opinion. People have a right to their opinion. And it does not do you any good to try and reach into people's thoughts and change their opinion by force. That's not how the world gets better. The world only gets better by people persuading each other. That's actually how democracy works. That's how democracy works. Compromise, persuasion, debate, openness, open debate, everyone having a say. This is not democracy. So that's the sorry state of Doctor Who. And that is a lot of cope. That is a lot of delusion on Russell T Davies' part. That is an amateur mindset. And it's crazy, too, because this is a man whose professional work was massive. I mean, he achieved a lot, but back then he did have to serve the audience. Now he is running this thing into the ground like a kid that is destroying his little brother's sandcastle, and he doesn't give a shit. And he doesn't give a shit. I can think of no better demonstration of the amateur mindset. Compare that with professionals like Henry Cavill and Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney and Ella Purnell, who have deference towards the source material and the fans. Those are professionals at work. Those are professionals. Redoubt Production says, hold on, we're talking about Nurse what? Time to grab my alter ego again. Fubar Digital Lounge says, all right, here we go. To quote Peter Capaldi's Doctor, my response toward RTD and all of Nurse What is a cold go to hell. That's what he's telling you. That's what he's saying. That's what Jinx Monsoon is saying. Go to hell. Go to hell. It's like, okay, well, you're going to get what you want, which is your fans are going to leave. Staffjere says, I'm going to touch grass. Night-night, everyone. Well, good night, Staffjere. It's late over there across the pond. And there he goes. Now, we need a palate cleanser, my dear friends. We need a palate cleanser. So I thought I would share this. Now, there is a YouTube channel called Prism. And Prism, they do regularly, they kind of do these what-ifs using AI art, and they retell things that bad storytellers have mangled. Usually Disney. So they're doing, their latest series is, what if Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series on Disney Plus, were actually good, right? And so we saw the part one, which basically established it's the cold open is Darth Vader arrives on a planet. He hunts down a rebel Jedi. He just kills him without any effort. And the Jedi's like, what did the Jedi say? He's like, look at what you've become, and how can you do this? And you become a symbol of evil. He's the master of evil. And Darth Vader's like, you're nothing to me. You're just an errand that's beneath me, which I was like, okay, that's boss. That's boss. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan Kenobi is cooling his heels pretty much the way the actual show started. He's living on Tatooine, just trying to stay under the radar. So here is part 2. Hat tip, Prism. Give him a like, give him a follow. Let's experience it together, shall we?
On the distant outer rim planet of Tatooine, Obi-Wan works for a small hunting operation in the Dune Sea. His look? Intense. His body? Still in good condition relative to his age. The whistle blows and the butchers begin to depart. One of the managers gives him a hard time as he tries to exit.
Sagada. Ayototo.
He throws him a gaze, knowing full well he could cut him down in an instant, but he says nothing. He takes the abuse and his payment and exits. He travels far off into the mountains to a small hovel where he makes his home. He eats a small bit of bread and meat as he watches the sunset.
So far, this is in line, aside from the Darth Vader cold open, which was much better. This is basically the setup of the Disney show.
A small moisture farm can be seen far off in the distance. It's the Lars family moisture farm. He sees a little boy helping an aging Owen. He smiles and retreats back into his cave. He looks around curiously but calm. He places a blindfold over his eyes, takes a ready position, and looks over his shoulder.
Now.
Suddenly the lights go dim. A lightsaber flies to his grip. Red blaster bolts fire through the room rapidly. Obi-Wan moves through the room, tagging trainer remotes as he expertly dodges and repels the low-energy trainer remote fire. 6 remotes encircle him until all are dismantled and fall to the ground. The training exercise is over. He removes the blindfold, unimpressed by his spectacular performance. Then a voice comes into focus.
Not bad, Obi-Wan.
Master.
Hello, my apprentice.
Dude, some of this AI art looks pretty weird. Some of it doesn't quite come out, but I really admire how they use it, though. The way they kind of use the stills, very brilliant. So that is definitely a departure, because in the Disney Plus series, which is like it's probably the worst thing they ever created, was that Obi-Wan show. Obi-Wan he's just a sad old man. He, like every male character now, he's a sad old man. He's broken. He's defeated. He's not really doing anything. In this version, he's actually training, staying in shape.
It is the Force ghost of his old master, Qui-Gon Jinn.
So you just pop in whenever you want now, eh?
When I sense you need me, yes.
And how do you know when I need you, Master?
He gives Obi-Wan a look. He already knows the answer, but he speaks it anyways.
We are all connected to the Force, Obi-Wan. All energy is intertwined with one another. Bouncing, reflecting, refracting. All threads in the cosmic tapestry. Like ripples on an ocean, each distinct, and each connected. But you already know all of that, don't you?
Obi-Wan nods, but appears sullen.
What troubles you, Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan sits down next to a fire under the night sky.
It's been 10 years, Master. I feel lost. I train every day for a day that may never come. An enemy that has already won. I watch over a child with nothing but the hope that he has the potential within him to become who we need him to be. All the while I sit here waiting until death or old age take me.
And?
I grow tired of waiting, Master. I want to fight. I want them to pay for what they did to us.
Dude, I love that angle. See, now, this is very crucial. This is very crucial because I think if I'm being as charitable as possible to modern writers, what I would say is a lot of them choose this trope of the sad old man, aging Indiana Jones from the Dial of Destiny, Harrison Ford, Marion left me and my son Mutt went off to war and he died. I just want to stay here and die. right? Jake Skywalker, all the, Nick Fury, all these characters that they turn into these sad old men. I think what they're often doing is they're doing the most obvious, it's the most obvious pathway to have a legendary character, a veteran character who's a superhero, go on an arc. That's basically what they're often trying to do. They're trying to give them a place to go on an arc, right? But the problem is they just stay sad and pathetic, and usually some girl boss or something comes in and just does everything, and they become the star, and it becomes a bait and switch, and that's the problem. This is actually the right way to do a character who's in a slump, he's in a funk, he's been here on this planet for 10 years training for a day that may never come, and he's getting restless. And I love this. I love this angle that he's like, I want to get out there and fight. I want to make them pay for what they've done. This is how you do, what they're trying to do with the sad old man trope. This is actually how it could work in a way that's actually inspiring and fun to watch, potentially.
They took. I am angry and I don't know how to put that aside.
And what fuels your anger, Obi-Wan?
Fear.
Of?
Failure. I failed to teach the one person you entrusted me with, Master. The one who was supposed to be the greatest of us, and look what happened. And now I am to train another. I am no mentor, no master. Just a washed-up old soldier. I would rather just fight and be done with it.
If you had it your way, you'd fight the whole Empire, wouldn't you?
Obi-Wan looks down at the floor.
At least it would make it stop.
Qui-Gon feels Obi-Wan's distress.
Obi-Wan, you did what you could with the knowledge you had at the time. You did not fail the Jedi, or Anakin, or me. You cannot carry the weight of the past into the future. You carry it for no one other than yourself.
Then how do I put it down, Master? How do I let go of all of the mistakes, all of the failures?
Qui-Gon sits silently.
When you stop trying to carry it.
Obi-Wan looks over to Qui-Gon to argue his comment, but he is gone.
I hate it when he does that.
The next day, Obi-Wan heads into town to get some supplies. His days all run together now. Work, supplies, check in on the Lars farm, train, repeat. As he makes his way through the market, he sees one of the vendors being horribly abused by a patron. He thinks about stepping in, but knows his duty. He walks away, but before he does, he uses the Force to trip the patron. The crowd laughs. Off in the distance, a shadowy figure watches the same events unfold. He notices Obi-Wan and watches him until he gets on his mount and rides off again towards the red horizon. The figure vanishes into the dark alley.
Now that's a brilliant little inciting incident to get the ball rolling. So yes, hat tip Prism. That would be What If Obi-Wan Were Good Part 2. I'm loving that. I am loving that so far. That actually makes a lot of sense because that implies that Darth Vader had, he had assassins, he had spies that were like searching the galaxy looking for clues to hidden Jedi. Unfortunately, the Filoni-verse has retconned it, so like about 1,000 Jedi survived Order 66, and they're just running around the galaxy, just doing all kinds of shit. There's multiple Sith. There's multiple Sith that survived Order 66. Oh, so much for the rule of two. That's out the window. Anyway, but that's a really good inciting incident because now, how was it I mostly just watched the reviews on Obi-Wan, so I didn't actually watch a lot of the episodes. But I think what happens in the Obi-Wan show is Reva comes down and just attacks this town, just attacks it, and Obi-Wan does nothing, if I recall. This is a much better inciting incident because this is the kind of thing this is actually what really happens in real-life scenarios where an authoritarian state is hunting out spies and malcontents. It's the little mistakes. It's the little mistakes that get you caught. Like, there was like whole special units in World War II that were trained in Britain and in other areas that were sent into Germany, German-speaking spies, essentially, to go into Germany and just sabotage rail lines, pick up, listen for intelligence and help the resistance and stuff like that. These agents, one tiny lapse in concentration, and the Gestapo would be on them. They'd be caught. They'd be tortured. They would have a terrible death because the German state at that time was very good at rooting out anyone that was a spy or a traitor. It was deadly, deadly work. Now, it's little mistakes. It's little mistakes that cause that problem. I quite like how they're taking the basic premise of the Disney Plus show and they're just tweaking it. They're fine-tuning it so that it actually works as a story, because there's that great... I actually quite like that line in the trailer where one of the Inquisitors says, the key to hunting Jedi is to recognize their weakness. It's their empathy. It's that they feel... they can't help themselves but do good in the world, and that's what gives them away. That inciting incident of Obi-Wan doing one little thing to just help out a guy who's getting bullied in the market, harmless, nobody knows what happened. I just tripped the guy with the Force. Nobody saw anything except the guy that was hiding in the crowd looking for those kinds of things. That's a great little inciting incident to just, and now that's one little thread that's been pulled. And now the whole thing's going to unravel. I really like that. So that is a great start to the What If Obi-Wan Were Good. I'm going to keep watching this. I'm very excited for this. I'm loving that. Dude, people are so creative. I love the internet and its ability to fix what is broken. So yeah, the other show I really recommend, check out American Fiction on Amazon Prime. It's streaming right now. This film it's hilarious. It's pretty well written. It is an absolute... Dude, this film destroys wokeness. And you could just tell it's written by people that are so sick of this shit. This is not written by, like, MAGA people either. This is from a liberal perspective, right? This is the film, American Fiction. Jeffrey Wright is a fantastic actor. The characters in this are pretty well written. It's a little bit leaden at times because it gets very bogged down in the family drama, and the central story is him publishing this book as a troll that is meant to just be a fake manuscript, just as a big middle finger to pandering DEI culture. But of course it takes off because all the white liberal publishers love it. Right, which is hilarious, and that's the most interesting part of the film. The problem is you get a lot of, and it's not all bad because most of the characters are pretty interesting, but a lot of the film spends too much time, I think, on kind of the minutia of the family drama. But that being said, it's worth the watch, and it's pretty good. It's kind of a, I would say it's a progressive critique of wokeness, and we need more of these. It's quite the great contrast, I would say, to something like the American Society of Magical Negroes, for example, which is complete trash. Complete trash. Was there anything else? Oh, yes. I think... I'm just making sure I didn't skip... Oh my God. I totally forgot. Okay, I'll save that one for when we close it out. I've got a funny for you. Chat. Before we get to that, though, I want to close on some good news as relates all this unfortunate. It's been a bit of a downer, this one, because we've been going over all this woke nonsense, Ubisoft and RTD and all that, which is why I made sure to include a white pill for you. Hat tip, bounding into comics, this from Spencer Bakuli, who had that great piece a couple of months ago about moral relativism in Generation Z as relates Star Wars. You know, this idea that the Jedi and the Sith are basically, the same thing, and that balance means there's got to be equal amounts of darkness and light, which is bullshit. Ryan Cannell breaks that. The angriest man on the internet breaks that down brilliantly. That's not what balance in the Force is. The absence of the dark side. That is balance in the Force. Not a balance between the dark side and the light side. It's the absence of the dark side. Because dark side, by its very nature, is an imbalance. Anyway, Spencer Bakuli has a great piece about the morality of Star Wars and how the Jedi are not corrupt. They are a good organization that had problems, but they were the good guys. They were the good guys. Anyway, so he has this piece here. Quote, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop producer assures fans that original devs have the same feelings about censorship as you do. Yes, we definitely do not want to censor this game. And in once again seeking to ease the fears regarding the remake's commitment to honoring its source material, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop producer and CEO of its developer, Dragami Games Yoshimi Yasuda, has assured fans that the dev team behind the original release of the cult classic hack and slash title have absolutely zero interest in seeing their work subjected to censorship. Yasuda, who also served as a producer on the original Lollipop Chainsaw, provided this insight into the internal debate surrounding Repop's development on May 16th via a post made to his personal X account. Therein, he succinctly informed the public in both Japanese and English, quote, "We, the original staff, have the same feelings about censorship as you do." Dude, that is awesome. So here they are. They're remaking this game, and already fans are worried. They're like, okay, are you going to censor things? Are you going to make the chick less hot? Like, what are you going to do? Here comes the developer, Yoshima Yasuda, saying in both Japanese and English, we have the same feelings about censorship as you do. Folks, that deserves a round of applause, don't you think? Yoshimi Yasuda. At current, it's unknown just how many of Lollipop Chainsaw's original production team, if any, have returned alongside Yasuda to develop Repop, though it is known that at the very least, director Suda51 and writer James Gunn, yes, that James Gunn, will not be among them. However, regardless of whether the original devs are taking a stance against censorship from either an internal or external position, the fact that they are so willing and confident to speak up at all, even if it is via a collective statement issued by Yasuda, bodes well for the survival of Suda51 and Gunn's original artistic vision. And what a vision that is. As noted above, this is not the first time Yasuda has affirmed Repop's intent to release uncensored. Speaking to the subject during an October 2023 interview with Automaton's Tajiro Yamanaka, the producer confirmed, "Now, regarding the scenario and script of Repop, we have decided to use the original Lollipop Chainsaw scenario and script without any changes." Pressed for details on the requests of fans he had received, Yasuda detailed, "When we announced Repop for the first time in July last year, we had used the word remake without any specific explanation, which caused some anxiety among fans of the original game. In the following period, we received thousands of inquiries via email and social media from fans containing questions and requests about the project, and among them, quote, please don't change the game's scenario and worldview, and please make it uncensored, were the most requested. From there, we made the decision not to make changes to the script, taking into account both the wishes of users and international reviews," he then recalled. "As for requests for the game to be uncensored, we are also working on realizing this to the best of our ability. As of writing, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop is currently on track to cut things up sometime later this summer." So now I've never played this game. I don't know much about it. All I know is that the CEO, the director, let's see, let me make sure I have that correct. Yeah, producer and CEO of the developer, Dragami Games, Yoshimi Yasuda, he is flat out committed No censorship. We have the same feelings on censorship as you. So, folks, the pushback is out there, and it's real. So, hat tip to Yoshimi. Yes, let me make sure I'm pronouncing that right. Yoshimi Yasuda. Hat tip to you, sir. And a captain's salute. Free art. That is our mission on the Swords and Starships channel. That is our purpose and our pledge to liberate artistic expression once again for all worldviews and all walks of life. And there are developers who get it. They're out there. So I think what I'm basically saying is, don't lose heart just because you have extremely loud wackos out there who are like RTD, frankly, who are absolutely flushing entire IPs down the toilet. The noise that we are making as a fan base, the noise we are making as a fellowship, the noise we're making as gamers and moviegoers and comic book readers, there are people out there in this space, in these industries, that are hearing it. They are hearing us. And so we remain focused on those that are professionals, those that enjoy making money and pleasing their audiences, and, to the best of my knowledge, do not eat glue. Now, let's close it out on a high note, shall we, my dear sailors and starnauts? I have for you a funny. There is a man on on YouTube, named Major Grin. And Major Grin, he performs a service like Grizzy. He performs a service to humanity. Major Grin goes around, he's a major Trekkie, like a major OG Trekkie, and he goes around collecting clips of all of the woke garbage Kurtzman tracks. Screw Alex Kurtzman! Have I said it lately? I don't think I've said it today. He goes around collecting all the clips of woke Star Trek, and he puts them together in clever little ways. And I came across this. I have not watched it yet. The trailer... I'm sorry, not the trailer. The thumbnail had me in absolute stitches. I want to show you the thumbnail. Dang it. I've already pressed play, and so it doesn't show the thumbnail. I got it. Can I get this? I'll see if I can pull up the thumbnail for you, because it's so funny. But no, I've got to find it. I have to find it. Major Grin. Here we go. This is the way I'll get at it. Give me just 1 second here, chat. All right. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Add to stage. This is the thumbnail on the right here. This is Free Tilly. As you know, Tilly is one of the characters in Star Trek Discovery who is, first of all, she is a complete emotional wreck all the time. She is immature and unprofessional all the time. And also, she's fat. She's fat, which is ridiculous in a maritime military organization, as Robert Meyer Burnett correctly observes, is the best of the best. They are the best of the best in the Federation. That's what they're supposed to be. There's no such thing as fat Starfleet officers, at least not ones that are out there on the prized postings of the galaxy, out there on the edges, exploring strange new worlds. If there's fat officers, they are sitting on a starbase writing a desk. That's basically it. But without further ado, hat tip Major Grin. Oh my god. Dude, I have not seen this show in a while. Is it just me, or is Tilly getting fatter? She's getting fatter, folks.
They've all got to get water at some point, right?
Dude, I love this. Is incredible. They're portraying Tilly, and she's in better shape than Michael Burnham. She's in better shape than diverse space Jesus. Of course she is. Of course she is.
We have endurance. We have.
Starfleet training. You're telling yourself that. Let's go. We're gonna fall behind. Body in motion. I'm the queen of endurance. Body in motion remains in motion. Don't give up now. Come here.
God, I love how they act like they act like Santa Monica women in the 21st century. They do not act like people in the 24th century. They're so insufferable. These characters are so insufferable. I know, Fu Man Blue. It's ridiculous. You know, the characters in the original Star Trek series, the OG5, that would be the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. There was an air about these characters that they lived in a different time. That they lived in a different time. What's amazing about Kurtzman Trek is they sound like your garden variety Santa Monica socialite, and it makes me sick.
Just the two of us left. You're a little shit, you know that? I can't hear you. I'm too far ahead. I'm not gonna beat you. I'm in the temple.
You won the race?
Rava and I tied. We're both here.
We are so grateful to you both. Your sacrifice will bless Halemno for many seasons to come.
Sacrifice? Ovas? Wait. Ovas! These walls are solid titanium.
Dude, where is he going with this one? With Major Grin, like, he's going somewhere with this, I promise. Good night, Fu Man Blue. Thanks again for the super chat. Thanks for hanging out. And there he goes. Permission to disembark. Granted, sir. We resume with Free Tilly.
For transport lock.
This isn't a Federation ship. These walls aren't titanium.
These walls are solid titanium. For transport lock.
You're in the vacuum chamber. Chemicals come up that center column and mix with air and whatnot from the room above and get shot into the atmosphere to make it rain. And seeing that it's a vacuum chamber, I'm guessing that in the process it sucks all the air out of there.
We need more time.
The gods are coming. They'll take our breath and replace it with their own.
But we're running out of air.
I'm gonna get you out of there, okay? I need you to talk to Rava. See if they can help me reach Ovaz.
Automated fire system. A force field contains the flame until the remaining oxygen has been consumed.
We need more time.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I don't... Dang it. I don't really get where he's going with that. I do love Worf's laugh at the end there. Okay, this one I did watch, and it's hilarious. This one's awesome.
I'm a scientist, you're a scientist. I think together, you and I can figure this out.
With tachyon particles focused along the proper temporal vector, a stable passageway can be opened to any point in the space-time continuum.
You and I are so smart.
8.4 times per second.
Yeah, they're using harmonic resonance to match the archive.
Oh my god, folks. Oh my god. Oh my god. What are we doing to the youth of our society? Oh my god. It's just when this character was introduced, this character looked almost like normal. Like normal is a strong word. Looked reasonably healthy, you know, just like a healthy human. What the hell is this? What is happening to this person?
The archive shield frequency.
I love when you two do that.
If we set the beam to a different frequency,
That's it. Do it again.
the tunnel would automatically close.
Of course.
Of course.
Along the proper temporal vector, a stable passageway can be opened to any point in the space-time continuum.
You and I are so smart.
Isn't science cool?
I like science.
Oh, God. Oh, no. R.I.P. Doctor Who. R.I.P. Star Wars. And R.I.P. Star Trek. My God. Redoubt says, I have become comfortably numb. I know, it's so bad. I can't, a part of me, I'm kind of, because Trek is my thing. I'm not a Whovian, because I never got into that. I'm sort of a Star Wars. I am a kind of Star Wars fan adjacent. Like, I enjoy the trilogy. I enjoy the prequels. I'm not like, I haven't read the extended universe. I'm not like a super fan. Trek is my thing, though. Trek is absolutely my thing. I'm tempted to review Discovery, but that would mean I'd have to watch it. I'd have to watch that crap. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I just feel sorry for these characters, I mean, not these characters, these actors. These actors with these they, them pronouns. It's like they get more sickly. They look sickly. This character was reasonably, physically fit, healthy looking. Now it's like this round face. It's bizarre, folks. It really is like a cult. Have you ever seen those, not Branch Davidians. I'm thinking of Heaven's Gate. The Heaven's Gate cult. They wear like togas and they're all shaved. That's what the they-them crowd is turning into. It's creepy as hell. Anyway, folks, we've had a good time here on the Captain's Cast. I am your host, Captain Garrett, on the Swords and Starships channel, live on YouTube, Rumble, and X, formerly Twitter. I will be putting chapters in these restreams. So if you're live on the restream, you can pick the topic you want to zero in on. You can skip right to it. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, and check us out on Discord, link in the description. Hat tip to all the wonderful contributors on the show today. Grizzy, Prism, Major Grin, Spencer Bakuli. Captain, salute to you. And until next time, my dear sailors and starnauts, this is Captain Garrett saying, stay classy, San Diego, and I will see you out there